So hello everyone, we are again back with this second roundtable, which is actually is gonna be touching some very interesting aspect of agriculture. That's agriculture commodities, and as all of you know that agriculture commodities are the final output of all the activities which goes in agriculture. Input companies, agriculture technology companies, various stakeholders, including the service providers like banking, financial institutions, insurance companies, government, everybody contribute. But finally, the output of all those activities is the food on your table. And this is where we call them agriculture commodities. Today, we'll be discussing about three segments of agriculture commodities. While we already know that there are close to 2,000 different value chains. In India itself, we are talking about 700 odd different value chains in agriculture commodities. But today we'll be touching three baskets. One is grains, the pulses, and spices. We have seen that various activities around agriculture are directly aligned to what the supply and demand and hence the prices of these commodities are. We are already facing some of the challenges when we talk about climate change. We have seen the impact of El Nino, because of which we have seen the productivity of various countries has decreased substantially. We have seen that happening in rice. We have seen that happening in wheat now, pulses. So overall, we have seen that this has been a turbulent year. While we have seen that FAO inflation index has been subdued when you compare it to previous year, but when you compare it to the last 5 years, then it is at very high level. Now, when we talk about commodities being at a high level, directly it will impact the food security of millions across the globe. When we talk about global south, Asia, Africa, Latin America, we see that the food security is directly related to the prices of commodities in these regions. And this is where we are having a very super awesome panel today to discuss about these three big baskets of agriculture commodity. The first would be grain. Second, we'll be talking about pulses, and then the spices. Now, I would request my co-host if we can bring on all the panelists for the grain panel on video so that we can take it forward from here. Yeah, so we have got an awesome panel. So we are having Jonah. She is Director General of International Rice Research Institute based out of Philippines. She would be talking about one of the biggest commodity in the world, that is rice. We want to get Jonah into talking about the commodity part of it in the sense of the pricing and supply and demand. We would try to stick our neck out to find from her what's happening in rice, what are the technologies being developed, and how he is supporting that for a very simple reason. Because rice is, as I said, is consumed by close to 40% of global population. We are having Sood Saab, as I always call him, Bhishma Pitama, my mentor. I've learned a lot from him, and I am pretty sure that a lot of people who will be attending today's sessions, right, would gain hugely from his insight. With multi-decades of experience of advising governments, advising corporate institutions, and advising multilateral agencies. He has been there in this industry since actually, many of us would not have even taken birth. So thank you, Sutsa, for being here. Then we are having a really awesome figure, like, Dilipji. He's with the Reliance Retail and one of the sharpest analyst and a trader in the market. Right. I would always love to call people trader for a very simple reason is that people like us, we just like, crib about what is going to happen. But you are the people who actually stick your neck out and take decision in trading. So same, I'll say that I'll put in my bucket Tanmeji also. So Tanmeji is like, is heading the research of at AgriWatch. And again, very strong analyst. He in the past used to be a trader, but now he is a retired trader and currently an analyst who speaks on various aspects of grain, including pulses and oilseeds. Then we are having Ashish. Ashish is with Olam, and we all know that Olam plays a substantial role when it comes to grains across the globe. And Ashish has been spearheading that efforts when it comes to India, one of the biggest grain producer as well as consumer. And Ashish is going through a lot of challenges because we are already seeing a lot of things happening in wheat, rice. We already saw a lot of things happening in rice. So we would like understand how challenging it is for Ashish to like run his business. So with that, Jonah, I'll straight away come to like first question to you. So you know that India has been like the largest exporter of rice, and suddenly like because of less than expected production, uh, we just stopped like exporting, right? We put a lot of restriction in export. Some of the part of rice we outrightly banned it. Some part of like it we restricted by putting some duties. So overall, like suddenly you found that like a nation which used to be 40% of global export disappearing from the market and having very limited. I'll say that just less than 40% of what we used to export. In this scenario, like how do you see going forward, right? Countries like Philippines and Indonesia, which are dependent heavily on imports, would survive? And do you see like in these countries, ERI doing something so that their own productivity increases?
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks very much, Deepak. Maybe a little bit on more on that context that you just described, and of course, any exporting country at any time may change their regulations depending on their domestic needs, and we're going to expect that will and can happen and does happen, and it matters especially when it's a staple. And any country where rice or any other commodity is their staple, then it becomes an absolute high priority for the government that they're self-sufficient in that. It's extremely important for political stability. It's extremely important for social stability because those rising prices that you talked about impact then such a large quantity of people and of course are impacting also the people who can afford it the least as well. And of course, rice is one of the commodities that have such deep cultural connection. So there's just so many aspects there that just make it absolutely high on the priority for policies, and especially for a country that is reliant on imports. One thing we know for sure as well, due to climate change, we know for sure there's going to be more droughts and more severe droughts and more floods and more severe floods. And we also know for sure the predictions are there will be more conflict in the world. And we've seen the impact of the Ukraine war, especially on wheat, but on commodity prices generally. So this will put even more emphasis in policies and governments in wanting to be self-sufficient on their staples. And we see this happening also, especially in Africa. Like rice is the biggest increasing commodity for consumption. And staples are changing and people are moving to rice. They like the taste, it's more convenient, it's easy to cook. And of course, they haven't had a big production and they're importing and they can't afford to import it. So it's also top on the agenda for many countries in Africa as well. And then what you find is the countries that are exporting, now their focus is turning more to high quality rice. And one of the big trends now, of course, is the low carbon rice and how you can move towards that. But that's just setting the context a bit more. But what it means is it's really important how we increase productivity, how countries can produce more and typically with less as well. Less land, fewer resources, water shortages, and so on. And that's, I guess, a key role of IRRI, because you need science to always be advancing in new innovations. The approach that IRRI would take with the science is to make sure we don't solve things in silos. So you can't look at just productivity. We saw, the Green Revolution had a particular need at the time, and it was very successful in stopping millions of people from starvation. But of course, we all know there were negative impacts. And now when we look at solutions, we have to do it. We have to look more holistically. It's more complex, but we have to take on that complexity. So when we look at it, it has to be so the farmers, it's more viable for the farmers, or it's not going to be long-term sustainable. We have to look at it so the solution so that it's more environmentally friendly and taking climate change into account as well, and the water, the biodiversity, the soil, etc. And then we really should be, and this is done a lot less, look at how, as we go forward, make sure the food is more nutritious and healthy as well. So we really, and at IRRI, we really look at all of those sort of complexities and how you can bring all that together. Now, breeding is one of the big ways that IRRI and others look at how we can increase productivity, but also taking all those other areas into account. Because of climate change, of course, there's been a strong focus on more resilience and climate change adaptability. So we'd say we've been breeding for drought tolerance. So we have drought tolerant lines that can produce 2 tonnes per hectare. Now that may seem very low, but that's in a drought when normally you would have no production. The farmer would lose their crop. And then we look at, of course, flood tolerant varieties. So we've bred varieties where if it's flooded and the rice is fully submerged in water for 2 weeks, it will still survive. Now, floodwaters usually reside within 2 weeks. So that's been important. We've also been looking at, we've radically overhauled the whole breeding program so that now we breed much more for multiple traits, because that's absolutely critical, because the same farmer can experience a drought and the next season experience a flood. So that's a very different approach that we have to also take. Because of climate change, also the whole salt tolerance varieties have been very critical, and the land and soil are being affected more by that. And as part of this, changing our whole breeding approach, IRRI has set up 145 testing sites. So we work with national systems, have regular sites set up, regular partnerships, so that we can breed faster. We have speed breeding as well. Actually, in December, we launched the first ever global protocol for speed breeding for rice. So this is some of the many different ways. Of course, the whole agronomy is important. The digital ag, bringing in more mechanization, and that's important in setting up more entrepreneurship models, so that the new mechanization methods, the drones, etc., can get out to more and to the smallholder farmers. An area that I think needs more work is the whole post-harvest loss. Everyone knows about fruit and vegetables having a lot of post-harvest loss, but actually in some areas up to 40%, even in grains and rice, can have post-harvest loss, and that's huge. So what's the use of working on high productivity in the field if we then lose it later? And so that's an area that needs a lot more work as well. So, I mean, there's some examples.
Perfect. No, sir, the reason, Jonah, actually I started with you for a very simple reason, that a lot of people who are in the trade community, right, who would be seeing the supply and demand and the number changing, it is increasing, it is decreasing. But end of the day, holistically, all of us who are part of this beautiful ecosystem, we have to understand we'll have to find ways to counter the climate change. We have to find the ways to ensure that our productivity increase. Otherwise, feeding 11 billion people is impossible, right? So we are having, I'm saying that it's written on the wall that, like, this generation has to take a lot of things in a positive manner to ensure our productivity increase. And not just ERI, right? A lot of CGIAR institutions like CIMIT, they have worked extensively on wheat and pulses as well, and they have done a lot of good initiative. But unfortunately, national systems and the typically the agri businesses, they are not able to adapt it fast. But I think now the adaptation as well as adoption, both are very critical. Now I would like to go to Tanmay, to you, and we are waiting for some of the numbers from you. So according to you, if you can provide estimate of supply and demand for wheat, rice, and maize in that order.
Yeah, sure, Deepak ji. Thank you. So I'll start with basically wheat, and I'll mostly talk about the scenario in India. So overall, this year we are expecting that the production of wheat will be somewhere near 106, which is as per our survey only, and to be precise, the number is 105.79 million metric tons. And we are expecting that the overall supply will be little higher this year. But interestingly, the consumption of wheat this year, it is estimated to be at a higher side. So overall demand is expected to be slightly higher than last year. And overall, the ending stocks this season, we are expecting that it would be little higher to 13.41 million metric tons versus the last year's 11.52 million metric tons. But when we come down to the stock to use ratio, no, we have seen that last year the stock to use ratio was around 11.17%. And during the current year, the stock to use ratio has gone up slightly to 12.91%, or we can say almost 13%. But interestingly, when we talk about the commodities like grains, which has the very large volume, basically the large production volume in India. So at that point of time, the stock to use ratio, anything below 18% is a cause of concern. So yes, despite there is an increase in production of wheat this year, overall supply side, I think, and when we see the consumption side, it is still not enough uh, based on the population, the increase in the population which we are having in India. So it would be a concern moving ahead also, and this is what is also translated in prices also. Uh, Now, regarding the rice, as you said that India has banned rice exports, and this is mainly because that the production of rice, mainly the Kharif season, we have seen the production has gone down to almost 99 million tons this Kharif. And we are expecting that the Rabi production or the summer production, including both, it would be around somewhere near 12 or 12.32 million metric tons to be precise. So overall production is less this year. We are estimating, we at AgriWatch, we are estimating that the production will be around 111 million metric tons versus the last year's production of 114 or 115 million metric tons. So yes, overall supply of rice is tight this year. Supply is less, almost by 10 million metric tons. And since the exports ban are there, uh, so overall the domestic consumption this year is slightly lower than the previous year. And because of this export ban, overall the stock to use ratio is at very comfortable level at around 21% versus last year's around 17%. So this is the overall scenario of the rice right now. And regarding maize, yes, we are again short in the maize supply. The overall supply of maize is very less. We are anticipating that the supply of maize this season will be around 30 million metric tons versus the last year's around 35 million metric tons. And yes, because of the uses of maize in ethanol production, demand has gone up this year, and the overall stock to use ratio is very tight, and the ending stocks is going to be very tight this season, which will keep the prices at the inflated size. So Deepak ji, overall this is all about the grain segment, the supply demand scenario in wheat, rice and maize.
Oh, perfect. So now to continue with that, Dilip ji, you are having a presentation on wheat and rice. which is having like a lot of details. Would you like to share your screen and talk about it?
I think I have asked Neeraj to do it. Neeraj, can you please do the needful, please?
Yeah, he has done it, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much, Deepak, for organizing this program. Absolutely fabulous work, and we're very right time as far as wheat is concerned. The arrivals are coming right time to discuss on wheat. Rice also are going through a lot of ups and downs, and both wheat and rice are into 100 million club in India, largely controlled and regulated by government. So it's always in news. So I've got a small presentation which give a perspective how we see the production, what is the carryover stock, how the price is going to behave, and what are the opportunities we have, and what are the options for the government to control the prices. Next. If you talk about what is the fact about wheat, the overall balance sheet looks slightly tight. I mean, all of us know that for the first time, the buffer stock has gone below the buffer norms, FCI stocks. I think FCI stock is 7.5 billion tons. As in 1st April, if you see, our stock is around 6.3 to 6.4 million tons. For the first time in last decade, this is what has happened. This is a cause of concern for all of us. At the same time, the positive news, if you look at the crop side, crop is looking fantastic this year. The arrival from Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Madhya Pradesh has been there for more than 1.5 months. So they are relatively good, arrivals are good. As far as you see the northern crop, like UP, Bihar, Haryana, Punjab, the crop looks fantastic. I think it's much higher than as compared to last 2 years. So that's a positive. As far as government is concerned, government has been discouraging the private trade. They're saying don't procure, don't trade, and only for the millers, they are saying please procure whatever you want to mill. Don't go overboard. That message has been very clear as far as government is concerned. I think they're calling all the corporates and telling them what is your buying plan, what you should do. So this proper communication is coming from the government. If you see since last 2 months, we have seen the arrivals have come. If you see the price table, last year the price was ranging from 22.50 to 22 rupees to 22.50. Now it is more or less rolling at the lowest price point, 3.5 rupees as compared to what we have seen last year. Those can be attributed to government has given an increase in MSP. Then in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, they have declared bonus. Pipelines are absolutely empty. Nobody has stocks. No stockist miller. Nobody has stock at the moment, except for government stocks. And UP and Bihar arrivals are not picking up as of now, so that pressure hasn't come. And during the initial phase, March, April, you get a very good demand for the Surtex wheat from Gujarat and MP. So that is what keeping the prices buoyant. And as far as government is concerned, government has to, after some time, they have to do the OMSs, and if prices goes beyond a limit, they might come with a stock limit as well. I think government intentions are very clear as of now. Next. This is a rough number. I'm very happy. I'm just talking about Tanmay's number. He spoke about 106, so I thought let me take 106. So I knew, so I did 106 earlier. So this is about what is the production and consumption, how the material flows in India. The farmer retains about 23%. That is for the home consumption as well as for the sowing purpose. Then balance 77% is the marketable surplus. During the season, around 22 million tons goes for the graded wheat, so that is for the home consumption. FCI normally procures about 32 to 35 million tons. Last 2 years was slightly less. Last year, 27 million, so 26 million tons, and rest 24 million tons goes to the open market. And whatever goes to FCI partly goes to PDS and part goes to open market again. This is how the supply of wheat flows in India. Next. Then I think the major states that are producing wheat in India are Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, UP, and Bihar. I'm not talking about Haryana and Punjab. That is of not commercial interest for us because that entire quantity goes to the government, FCI. So the arrivals in Gujarat has started 2 months back. MP also almost like close to 2 months, and Rajasthan 1.5 months. So every 15 days you get a new state and coming up arrivals are starting. As far UP and Bihar is concerned, arrivals just starting. About UP about 1st of April and Bihar about 10th of April. If you look at the arrivals in case of first 3 states, Gujarat, MP, Maharashtra, the arrivals are good. But if you see the monsoon scenario and how the sowing was done, Gujarat, there is slight deficit of monsoon last year. So crop is slightly short. As far as MP and Rajasthan is concerned, I'll say they are near normal, not exactly normal, they are near normal. And for UP and Bihar is totally no issue. So people are very excited. We are getting fantastic, fabulous crop is coming up. As far as the yield is concerned, the initial report that is coming from Gujarat, MP and Rajasthan, there is slightly drop in the yield in all the three places. Maybe because of subsoil moisture, could be unseasonal rains. We have a few places in MP and Rajasthan as well as in Gujarat, plus maybe proper vegetative growth or that put together. So there's yield loss about 3 to 5% in these three states. As far as UP and Bihar is concerned, the arrivals have just started. But the monsoon was perfect. The coldness was perfect, and there's a proper vegetable growth, and looks like we'll have 5% additional production from UP and about 10% in Bihar. That is the initial report that comes at the moment. And if you look at the present arrival number, last 6-7 days arrivals have gone down because of the holidays. Otherwise, we had a fantastic arrival in all the three states. Gujarat on average takes about 10,000 tons. MP 80,000 tons. It has touched the peak of 90,000 tons about 12 days back. Rajasthan every day we're getting 18 to 20,000 tons, and UP and Bihar just starting, so I have not taken the numbers. So if you look at the price range as compared to last year, the prices are 3 to 3.5 more in case of Gujarat, MP as well as Rajasthan. And if you look at Uttar Pradesh, initially the prices, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, initial price was 25 rupees, then prices slightly dipped there. Today, I think I'm getting a price of 24.50. That is how the price table is looking at the moment. Everybody knows I have already told why the prices have gone up. And MP and Rajasthan, the two states, they have declared a bonus of 1 rupees 25 paisa per kg. That is how the scenario is at the moment. Next. Then we look at what is the production trend for the last 5 years. I've got a government estimate, there's a private estimate. The government estimate is always on the higher side as compared to the private do. And this normally a difference of 10 to 12%, which is on the higher side. I think you have the wrong number. Many times we have discussed, you have a wrong number, you have a wrong calculation, you come to wrong conclusions and wrong diagnosis of the disease. So I think government has to do some kind of course correction, needs to revise the numbers based on the arrivals from time to time. I think government must be doing something on that. As far as this year's revised advance estimate that has come, government figure says 112 to 114. The private report says 100 to 105. And USD also has given a report which is close to 106. So exact number, I have put a question mark. Let's see. After some time, we will know exactly how the private trade estimated, what exactly government done, how much is the difference. Next. How was the last 3 years, 4 years? I think we exported quite a lot. Now it's during Corona time, a lot of the material distributed in Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. I think from 21-22, 22-23, 23-24, we have exported quite a lot. At the same time, distribution of government programs also quite a lot. And that was the need of the hour because of the Corona. But having said that, because of all that distribution, our stocks have gone down drastically. I think 21-22, we had a stock of 27.5 billion tons. Now it is close to 6.5 billion tons. There's quite a lot of drop. And as far as price point, if you see how the wheat prices are moving us day by day. So it was 19 rupees 3 years back. Now it is at 25.50. Last 2 years, figures have gone quite a lot for 22 to 20.5. I think at the moment, the demand is outstripping supplies. Cost of cultivation is going up. Government is increasing MSP. All put together, the price table is moving up. Next. If you look at the price trend, taken the last 2.5 years numbers, 22-23, initially everybody came to know that there is a shortage. A lot of export was going at that point of time. From June, market have started moving up. From October to January, it was at the peak. Then government had to intervene with OMS, then prices crashed by 15%. 23-24 was no different. Same, prices shown positive trend. October to November was the peak price that point of time. So the government put a stock limit. The stock limit initially for 3,000 tons for private grade, then he brought it down to 1,000 tons. So people had to liquidate. So somehow government could manage the prices very well. And obviously they have done OMS, especially for the smaller millers with small quantities. And this time, as far as the price trend is concerned, the prices are slightly on the higher side, 23.40 to 24 rupees. This is the empty mandi prices I'm talking about. Prices high because one is pipelines are empty. The demands on all the millers are empty. Sortex plant of the western part of India. Then FCI buying quite a lot. They're showing a lot of buying intentions, quite a lot. If you see the last compared to last year, as on 10th March, FCI procured 33% more than as compared to what they have done last year. Though initial figures are very small. Next. So my conclusion on wheat, as far as wheat is concerned, in terms of pricing, and the last 30 days is very crucial for wheat price and production and availability. Last 2 years, we are seeing the heat wave. Once in a while, standing crop gets a monsoon. That also creates a lot of issues. As of now, the situation is fantastic. So hopefully nothing goes bad from here. And March, April, Sortex demand from these places keeping the price levels are up. And UP, Bihar looks good. Could be a savior for us because area has increased and yield is also going up, that it looks like. And farmers are very satisfied because certainly they are getting much better price as compared to last 2 years. So they are in very good speed. The arrivals are coming to the mandis, and UP and this place will pick up right now. As far as government buying intention is concerned, their requirement is 30 to 32 million tons. And I think they have just started. Government made the intentions are very clear. They are advising the private trade to not to participate, not to stock so many these things they have taking. They are not allowing rake movement from UP or other places. Whenever you buy from Uttar Pradesh any material, you put a 6R form that has to be filled. Now you go and fill I'm taking the material that any outside state material that has to go outside, that is getting disabled. So you can't take it out. I think that is the reason how I see the UP and Bihar prices slightly gone down, because Bihar material is not coming out at the moment outside. And I think if government can do 30 to 32 million tons, they will continue to do OMSs and prices will remain range bound. In case they fail to do that, if it is less than 25, then we'll see a lot of choppy movements. Government will come with many of their this thing once in a while. So we have to see prices will go up and go down. But anyway, export is the last option they have any time, so they can resort to export and they could stabilize the prices. And they should allow the import of I'm talking export, it's import. They should allow imports so that we get buffer stock, plus we can stabilize the prices as well. This is all about wheat. Then quickly I'll touch upon rice as well, if you allow me with Deepakji.
Yes, sir, please.
As far as government is concerned, I think government has taken so many steps. Yeah, just go back. Sorry, Neeraj. As far as government is concerned, these are the steps they're taking at the moment. They have to resume OMSs after some time. In case Delhi, I feel the Delhi price today is 25.50 or 26. If it goes more than 28, government could come out with imposing stock limits, because government is very careful about the prices now. They are restricting the rake movements from outside UP. And now the 6R form also they are not allowing to go. So initially when the rake was stopped, people are taking by lorries. Now lorry also there's a restriction. You can take it out. That we have seen for the last 2 years. Government has been distributing Bharat Atta that helped in controlling the prices. This time also, I think they might do that as well. And last time, their availability of wheat was more in northern part of India. So distribution of Bharat Atta is good in northern part of India, and other places, west and south, they couldn't manage it well. This time, if they can do it timely, they can do that as well. And import could be a distant possibility. So that government has to see, and up to some time, I think, as of now, no news, I don't know. But they have to do it. Then I have made a rough calculation. In case government tries to procure tomorrow, how does it look? So I have taken it today's, you have to go to either Russia or Ukraine, and Russia is a natural ally of government. So I've taken Russian numbers. It is ranging between 265 to 270 CNF Tuticorin, the southernmost port of India. If you look at the present duty is to 40%, at 40% our landed price comes to 33,250, which is way too high. So it may not work. If we took a duty of 20%, then the landed price at Tuticorin 28,700. This is exactly close to what when we are moving the material in a rake from either MP or from Uttar Pradesh. So looks like if government can reduce the price duty to 10 to 20, 15 or 20%, this will work out fantastically. So government can achieve both the things. One side you have the buffer stock, otherwise maintaining pricing becomes very easy. So to me it looks like There is no downside at the moment, except for UP and Bihar could go down by 50 paisa at the moment. As far as Gujarat, MP and Rajasthan is concerned, not more than 15 to 20 paisa the market will go down. And with government's effort and vision, they will make it a range bound by hook and crook. Then we move to rice. Yeah, this is another big crop in India, more than 100 million tons. I would say rather it's bigger than wheat as well, the biggest crop in India. And it's 40% share in the international trade, which is quite significant. If you look at the last year numbers, the non-basmati rice, this commercial variety, I have categorized the rice into a basmati variety, the non-basmati commercial variety, and the non-basmati common variety goes to the PDS and exports. If you look at the commercial variety, it has slightly dropped. In case of Kharif, the Vada, Kollam, Sona Masuri, there's a drop of 10%. As far as summer crop, which is just coming, summer crop comes in the south as well as east. That is dropped by 60% because there is a deficit of monsoon and moisture in Bangalore, and government didn't allow people. They discussed people don't go for rice. We won't give to irrigation water. So that is why it has come down drastically. As far as basmati rice concerned, 1121, all the big good varieties, this upside of 8 to 10% has gone up. And government recently, the export quantity government had reduced. When the basmati new crop started, government made a MEP minimum export price of $1,100. So it didn't work. So after that, lot of protest and all that, I think they have made it $950. That one, the month of January and February. So January and February, Indian export of basmati has gone down drastically. So everything has gone to Pakistan. And after that, they have made it $950. Now that is working very well. I think Government of India and the Red Sea issues, fuel destination, you have the freight is gone up. So you have that kind of problem. As far as non-basmati common varieties concerned, I think they have put a ban on raw rice. As far as export is concerned, they have 20% on parboiled rice, they have put a duty. So that has reduced the flow of common rice out of India. Next. This is how the production and consumption of rice basket in India. I think my numbers are varying with Mr. Tanmay. You have to see could be two different sources. But this will give a flow how in India it moves. I think I've taken a figure of from my source, it's 132 million tons. About 5% is basmati rice, and mostly it is getting exported for 4.5 million tons. As far as domestic is concerned, it is about domestic consumption of basmati 2.5 million tons. As far as non-basmati is concerned, this is about 95%. And the biggest component from that is the PDS, where you get the non-basmati commercial rice, not commercial rice, I mean to say the common rice. As far as from a farmer is concerned, they're returning 22 million tons. Exports, I think 2 years back, it was 22 million tons. Now, because of the restrictions, come down to 18 million tons. As far as commercial varieties is concerned, the varieties where we are concerned, we are buying, selling, it is retail, we also do that. These are the items. And Sona Masuri, the southern part of India, that is Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, you do that. Poni, 4 million tons, that is in Tamil Nadu. Kollam and Jaisrim, this is from the western part of India, and Andhra Pradesh, you get that material. And for the others concerned, this is, you get quite a lot of other rice, all India basis, some eastern part of India, some northern part of India. So all put together, that is how the material flow as far as production and consumption in India is concerned. Next. This is a rough demand and supply, how the situation is looking at the moment as far as India is concerned. Opening stock looks to be decent and absolutely no issues. As far as production is slightly dropped because of the monsoon and what I said, southern part of India. As far as total supply is concerned, there's not much of a change. Consumption is slightly ticking up, but exports have gone down, so that is making it up. So all demand and supply put together, as far as Indian rice is concerned, we have enough stock at the moment. There is nothing to panic. That is what is my view about this market. Next. Then briefly, I'll say what's happening in Basmati, how last year behaved, how this year has been. If you were to look at the last year, the crop was slightly short. The export demand was good. Pakistan had a flooding, so all the demand came to India. So that is why there's a lot of demand, there's price fluctuation. The price range we have seen last year, 84 rupees, the lowest price point, and upper side is gone to 109. As far as this year concerned, current year 23-24, the crop is 5 to 10% more. People say it's exactly 8 to 10% more as compared to last year. The opening price since last year, it has gone up so much. So the opening price was slightly on the higher side, 89 rupees. After that, government put the restriction out to 1200 MEP. So the export dropped for 2 months. So everything got diverted to Pakistan. And after that, I think export is picking out quite good. Demand is very good at the moment, and we are able to match Pakistan prices. So now this price, I think 89 was the opening price, 1121. On top, it's gone to 101. Now it has come down again because the demand drop in demand on 92 rupees. To me, it looks like in the next 2 to 3 months, the price could go by another 4 to 5 rupees, not more than that. We have enough stocks of basmati. Next. Then this is about non-basmati premium variety, that is a retail quality of what we people normally consume, not the PTS I'm talking about. So you have one is Vada Kalam, that is in the western part of India. If you see last year, the price range was 43 to 54. And this year, the Gujarat crop was good. Maharashtra was slightly bad, and overall there is a 10% shortage. And the prices as compared to opening price fund in Vada Kalam 43, this time it was 48, so 12% increase. As far as Sona Masuri is concerned, last year the price band was 36 to 41. This time it is opened at 46, have gone to 51. And the prices are opened 28% higher as compared to last year. That is why the demands have dropped. So in Sona Masuri, southern part of India, if you see, the Kharif crop was dropped by 20%. Rabi dropped because there's no water supply has been stopped, so it's 60%. So southern mills, they started panicking. They started buying from UP and Bihar. That is why the prices went up so high, 20 to 30%. But at this price set, this is not sustainable. So slowly, demand is down and prices slightly going down, and it's bottoming out now. Next. Then next we talk about non-basmati common variety. This I talk about IR64 and IR36, the normal material which is getting exported and going to the PTS. These are the places where normally it is produced: AP, Telangana, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, and Bardhaman. If you see last year, the price range was 25 to 25.50. The price was good. Export parity was very good. India was exporting quite a lot. And price, there's not much of a change. But this year, I think because lot of exports, after that some diversion happened to ethanol. All put together, prices had opened at 28 rupees. Then the whole market felt that the prices are going to go away. The markets are going to go away. So it went up to 37. Then government has put a restriction. Slowly now demand has gone down. And export has also gone down. Prices are slowly sliding. Now present price is 33 rupees. Summer crop is just around the corner. So I think the prices could go down by another 2 rupees. That is how I see the common variety. Next. So this is about how I see the market. How is the outlook up? And prices opened way too high as compared to actual availability of the material. So there is a demand destruction. Again, there's a concept of bharti in India and southern part of India and western part of India. That is slowly getting eroded because of the modern trade. Modern trade has been giving lot of same rice at the same price around the year. They give a lot of offering. So that is what is getting eroded. Even in terms of MSP of paddy, if you see, it's gone up by 7% up. However, the price, open print price is 30% up. So which has created the demand restriction. As far as government actions are concerned, I think government banned export of raw rice. And they have put a 20% duty on the parable rice. As far as Bharat rice is concerned, I think retailers, they are giving at 29 rupees. So this mostly it goes for grinding purpose, or local kiranas, or quite a lot of other guys they take, and it goes to the local general trade market and sells in the loose form around 35 rupees. That is what the report comes. As far as price outlook is concerned, as present, both basmati as well as non-basmati premium rice markets have been stable. It has from the top price, it has gone down to 4 to 5 rupees. In the next 3 to 4 months, I see a price hike of 4 or 5 rupees. As far as common variety, PDS variety is concerned, markets are already down to 33. Market will go down by another 2 to 3 rupees. That is how I see the market at the moment. Over to you, Deepakji.
Perfect, sir. It's like, always very interesting to hear, like, you become spellbound. Unfortunately, like, the time is a constraint. Otherwise, like, you can spend hours listening to what Dilipji, you like, sir, I appreciate the type of efforts you put and the numbers you bring in, right? I would say hats off, sir. Salute to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Now, I would like to go to Ashish ji. Like, Ashish ji, you heard, like, two analysts talking about, I'd say that I'll stick to, like, rice and wheat and then a little bit of maize. Talking about, like, the condition is comfortable, right? And let me give you, like, a counter view, which I am known for doing, right? I saw, like, last to previous year, I was at 94 to 96, right? Last year I was at 96 to 98. This year I am around 98 to 100, right? And believe me, like 98 to 100 also I'm saying because of the numbers being shared by Dilipji and Tanmay, right? My numbers could be even a little bit lower, right? One of the point I'm saying this is because of, like, the majority, if you see that arrivals last year, right? The majority of the procurement till now was happening in Haryana and Punjab. This time it is dry. It is only coming from MP and Gujarat, right? That shows you, like, but end of the day, our wheat ball is Punjab to East UP, right? That belt. MP and Gujarat, they are having very small play. At the same time, the panic I'm seeing in the government trying to, like, picking up the phone and telling people not to buy, that also, like, gives some credence to what I'm saying. I'm assuming in this scenario, like, as someone who trade, do you think, like, it's very difficult to, like, work in this scenario? Like, for 3 months, should all the traders put their, like, shop shut and then just go and do the vacation and come back after 3 months when the government has already done their procurement by force? I also believe that this is not good for the farmer also, because now the minimum support price, you are trying to make it maximum realizable price for the farmer, right? By throwing away, like, traders out of the game, you are ensuring that, like, that minimum price remains just like minimum only. It's not support, but it is forced minimum price. Your view, sir?
Sure, Deepak bhai, and greetings to all my fellow panelists and everyone who has joined today afternoon. I think my task has become quite a lot easy after the detailed presentation by Tanmay ji, by Mohanty sir. I think they have very clearly at least explained what is happening around in the wheat complex, in the rice complex, in the corn complex. And now coming to your question, Deepak bhai, I think you have put a very right question, and I think on a lighter side, the timing of this discussion is also pretty good because we don't have any much tasks at hand. Although this Rabi season is in full swing, the markets are flooded with wheat. But despite that, I think we have a lot of free time to have a chat here on a lighter side. Yeah, but I think on a serious note, I think the key takeaways from the overall fact about the production of wheat in India, I think it is immaterial that you consider the production as 98, if you consider 105, or the government considers 112. In the last 2 years, it has been very clear that whatever is the production of India, the consumption is more or less in similar line to the production. Because we have seen that last year, the carryover stock was around 8 million tons. And this year again will be more or less closer to the buffer norm of 7.5 to 8 million tons, which clearly shows that whatever was the production last year is equal to the consumption in India. And therefore, we are ending up at the same carryover stock similar to the last year. Now, with this, again, it is very clear that for a population of 140 crore plus, we will have to reevaluate whether this 7.5 million buffer stock norm, does it make sense? Because opening up at 7.5, 8 million tons of opening stock is a very precarious situation for a large country like us. And also, I think the main issue is because of all this, there has been a lot of stress in the supply and demand of wheat. And therefore, government had to be very active in terms of the policy decisions that they had to take last year in terms of controlling the overall wheat situation in India. And because of that, the private trade has completely lost its relevance in the current situation. So a couple of years back, the private trade used to play a very important role in the overall wheat ecosystem. The private trade used to work hand in hand with the milling community to procure the right quality of wheat, the amount of wheat they wanted to use across the around the year. And the private trade used to manage the quality around the year and ensure the supply chain solutions to the milling industry. But today, the government has completely, taken the control of wheat in their hands, and they are trying to control the situation because of the desperate need, because the overall stock situation in India is very low. So government is also trying to make efforts to fulfill the requirement of the milling industry by giving the OMSS policies and all. But all of us know that in the quality which is offered by the government from some of these states like MP is not very fit for the milling industry because of the certain quality of wheat that they source and they offer. So there is a mismatch between the demand and supply. So I think that has resulted in this desperate situation where the government has to be constantly looking at policy interventions in order to control the inflation, to ensure that the enough supplies of wheat is there in the country. I think this is how the situation is going to be in the coming future, because wheat, as all of us know, is a crop which will be most adversely affected with the changing pattern of the weather. And there have been reports that if there is an increase in at least 1 degree temperature, mean temperature, it affects the productivity by 3 to 5%. And going ahead, we expect that the similar situations is going to be there. And therefore, the government should look at it as at a broader level. They should try and ensure that the overall supplies in the country has to be increased. Today, say if the production is 100 and they buy 30, 35, it will be sufficient for them to fulfill the programs that they are running for the needy sections of the society. But at the end of the day, the overall wheat in India remains same. So ultimately, you will have to pull in some quantities in order to give buffer to yourself and buffer to the overall stock situation in the country. And import is the easy solution to it. Now, I think the government can have a view on how much they want to increase the buffer from the current 7.5. Ideally, it should be around 15. And a difference between these two should be the import volume for, say, next 1.5 or 2 years, which can actually ease the situation. So in the current context, the problem which the trading community is facing, or I would say that even the trading community, the farmers, as you very rightly put, that today MSP has become a maximum price that can be offered to the farmers. Why? Because out of the 4-5 main states that are procuring wheat, only 2 have come out with the bonuses. Now again, it is creating a mismatch between the demand and the pricing. What is happening is, now if the miller or the private trade has to buy wheat, they are looking at other states like UP, Bihar. And once that demand flows to UP, Bihar, the prices are expected to go up. Now, when the prices are going up, the government is coming and saying that, no, don't buy, because we want to, complete our targets for the FCI procurement. So these policies are very counterintuitive. These decisions are very arbitrary, which is, it is definitely, trying to control things in the short term. But they are actually ignoring the long-term aspect of this. So ideal decision should have been to import, to increase the buffer stock from current 7.5, 8 million to 16 million tons, and accordingly ease out the complete stress which is there in the overall wheat ecosystem. I would also say that even the millers are facing a very difficult situation, because generally these millers supply to end consumers like ITC. They supply to end consumers like Britannia, Nestle, and generally these companies also look at tendering systems where they try and buy for a quarterly requirement, they buy for half yearly requirement. Now with this instability in the overall policy decisions, even the millers are not willing to offer or willing to participate with that great extent. So I think the kind of situation we have currently, specifically to wheat in India, I think it is creating problems not only for the private trade, but it is also creating problems for the farmers. It is also creating problems for the millers. So I think the overall ecosystem has got affected. And I think it clearly shows that there is a desperate need to increase the overall availability of the wheat in India. And that can be done if you, rationalize imports to a certain level. Even the imports can be controlled so that you don't end up importing a lot of quantity. And one, I think Mohanty sir very clearly explained that taking the wheat from north to south, the logistics equally works out. If you want to bring down wheat import from, say, Ukraine, Russia, or Australia to India, the logistics cost is more or less similar. So it makes sense that you're able to buy cheaper wheat and you're able to control the inflation for the southern part of the country, which is dependent on the wheat from north. So this is my take, Deepak bhai, on this issue.
Yeah, so one more thing, Ashish, I totally agree with you. And in a country when we are talking about everything, one nation, one election, one nation, one price, right? We have to understand the diversity of this nation. The price realization of a farmer in Uttar Pradesh and in Gujarat are very different, right? His sowing costs are very different. So I believe there are challenges on that. Now coming to a small intervention on maize as well, right? I see that the numbers when we talk about the percentage-wise deficit, maize is I'll say that the elephant in the room, right? While it might not impact as much as rice and wheat, but maize we are seeing in fact Tanmay also shared that numbers are pretty low when we talk about productivity number. And then there is a animal feed demand, and then there is actually ethanol also, because we have remove again the sugarcane industry out of ethanol business, right? With only I'll say that restricted supply. So do you see the maize could be a bigger area where you can have more time allocated rather than unlike in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think today corn is one of the hot commodities where everyone is willing to participate. And again, this is because of again the mismatch between the demand and supply. So India used to be comfortably producing around 33-35 million tons and still exporting 2.5-3 million tons till last couple of years back. But now the situation has completely changed since ethanol has come into picture. And for a country like India, where the per capita consumption is growing drastically and where we expect the per capita income to double in next 4-5 years, I think with that kind of economy and corn being one of the important feed component, I think the corn is such a commodity where we are seeing that there is growth opportunities across all the end consumption segments. So starch is good. Specifically for starch requirements, the industry is growing really rapidly. The feed industry is growing by 8 to 10%. People are willing to consume protein, and a lot of shift is happening to animal protein. India is one of the lowest per capita protein consumer today, but with the increasing in per capita income, that section definitely is looking at a really good growth. And then suddenly this ethanol has come into picture, which is actually wiping out 4 to 5 million tons of the requirement straight away into the ethanol in the current context. So, and which is expected to grow from here on, because the government again is very ambitious about their plans for the ethanol blending till 2025. So I think, yes, absolutely, corn really makes sense in current scenario. But at the same time, government will have to look at all the avenues to ensure that all these industries are actually given a scenario where they are able to grow with the kind of projections that have been made. So because the ethanol has come into picture, the other industries that have been dependent historically on corn are really facing a lot of problems. So I think government will have to take a rational look and accordingly, I think take a little bit of more time to implement their 20% blend program, so that by then I think they will have to look at the options with the help of agronomy to improve the overall productivity of India. Today, India is at a productivity of 3.1 metric tons per hectare kind of a productivity in corn, as compared to some of the other countries where the productivity is as high as 10 metric ton per hectare. So I think India will have to go back to the whiteboard. They will have to plan the projections, how much they can bring in through the agronomy practices, seed improvements and all that. And accordingly, they will have to chart out the growth aspects for different industries, and then take a rational look on whether if they want to achieve all this so fast, then they will have to definitely allow imports to happen in the country, and only then will all these industries grow at the pace that has been projected. So yeah.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Ashish bhai, and really it was interesting, because understanding the trader spin, at least if not wheat, corn is there for you. God bless you. Now I'll go to Sood Saab for the last word, right? Before we go to Jonah for very interesting question which I've kept her in hold. Sood Saab, you have been someone who understand all these commodities very well, right? So I would like to understand from you, we are already seeing that while Tanmay and Dilip is talking about better than last year. Definitely, I also believe better than last year the production is there. But I believe this year also there would be mismatch when it comes to the consumption and the production of wheat, and that's why we are seeing the buffer over past 2 years falling. And further, if with whatever government is trying to do without imports, I believe that is going to be situation. Same way, actually, Ashish bhai talked about maize. We are seeing a shortfall. We are seeing more demand from ethanol. We are seeing a demand of even the broken rice for ethanol, and so the rice, maize, and wheat complex. So your views and what would be your advice to the government going forward for to create a win-win situation for the traders, farmers, and the consumers?
Thank you very much, Deepak, for the opportunity. Well, I would like to look at wheat and rice as two markets each, not one market. And when you say there are stocks, they are with the government, with the FCI. Rice, by my reckoning, from the peak of 2021, the change in stock in private sector is very simple. You take production, import, export, demand, and the change in FCI stock, and the remaining is change in the private stock. So that has been substantial. There is hardly any stock in the market, even for rice, in the private sector. So therefore, I'm not as comfortable in rice as my fellow panelists are. The inflation is still there. The prices went up for last 2 years by 14% each year. And there will be some increase even this year and going forward. So basically, exports have been throttled because initially NCEL did not have their act together. They wanted to dirty their hands in buying the cargo and shipping themselves. And now they're doing what STC and MMTC used to do, like let the bidder ship it. They have their markup, they make the invoice, realize the money and give it to him. And so their pace will increase a bit. But assuming that the pace so far is maintained, I see exports of 16 million tons, which is at par with Dilip's projection. Basmati exports have been higher this year. So far, data up to February would indicate that the Basmati exports have been up to Jan 24-30, 2.4 million, and another 5.5 million, so about 2.95 million this year. Last year, the exports were about 2 million, 2.3 million at this time. So Basmati exports are very strong, and parboiled rice exports are a bit lagging. They are lower than last year up to January by about 600,000 tons. And that is because of the problems customs are creating in calculating the duty, because they're calculating duty on duty. And that needs to be resolved legally. And another one is that they are very, very, very touchy about misdeclaration. So they're taking long time to test the consignments, whether that parboiled contains white rice or whatever. And broken was banned even earlier. So broken rice shipments have been just about 12,000 tons up to January this year. That's why the prices have softened a bit in the recent 1 month or so. And talking of the crop, well, whether one of us says crop is X or Y, delta is more important. So my assessment of the number is 126, USDA is 128, and the government is 134. Considering that Bihar and some parts of eastern India, that is southeast, like Chhattisgarh, etc., they suffered, and Rabi and summer has suffered because of paucity of water. Government appears to be overestimated, optimistic. And so if you look at the rice balance sheet, my number is 126 production, 113 consumption. Consumption has increased, not reduced, because the government last year reduced the PDS for wheat. They gave additional 6 million tons of rice. You give somebody free food, he'll eat it, and or somebody else will eat it. And even if you take 4 million tons out of it as having been eaten, and the wheat. So rice rice consumption this year could be marginally higher than last year because of the growth in population. Otherwise, looking at the wheat balance sheet, there's no way government can restore the PDS back to 24. It'll remain 18. And so 113 and 16 going with the present pace, 129. So you are, I don't know from where the 3 million will come, because the private sector, believe me, has no stock. They have shed 14-15 million tons in 3 years because of exports, which we have seen in Dilip's presentation, and the change in stock number. So basically, price-wise, I'm bullish on rice. Policy action-wise, as a person who has spent lifetime in commodities, I hate regulations. But what can you do? There's no rice available for India to import at all. So cut down exports. Put a MIP on parboiled also, and clean it up, and or increase the duty. And so something like that. Rice is a very critical commodity. You just can't get it for money or love from anywhere in the world. And there was one question in the chat on the parboiled rice used in ethanol production. I have the ethanol numbers. Using the norm of 440 liters per ton of rice, it comes to 1 million tons, 950,000 tons of rice used so far till March end. and another million which the ethanol industry has committed. So they will end up using about 2 million of parboiled, out of which about 5-6 million tons of total availability. Maybe a lakh of tons will be exported. The rest of it is all there for us. And that's why the prices are soft. And corn, there was one voice in the Maize conference in Delhi, TEFLA's conference, which said it's sub 30. It appears to be sub 30. Maybe 28 or 30 crop. Because the government's target is about 11.5 million tons for summer and Rabi, which is far too outlandish. And Kharif, they acknowledge that the crop would be 22.5 and not 24, but then we believe it will be lower. So it could be anywhere from 28 to 30. And ethanol, again, the total commitment by the ethanol industry is 2 million tons only. Of 2 million implies 2 million. So ethanol, the way it was emphasized in that Maize seminar, was out of place. It was overemphasized. Maybe it will hold for years to come, but not certainly this year. In a crop of 32 million tons, and particularly when there are no exports, so lack of exports will compensate for it. It's the domestic demand. I just did a back of the envelope calculation. You're short in corn by again 2 million tons, like in rice, and which Ashish said. So I don't think we should hesitate in making up this supply. We have a fantastic industry in poultry and starch. Of course, a point was made at the Maize conference that starch industry should learn to use other sources like tapioca and potato, etc., which maybe it will come, they'll learn. They'll know that it's a structural problem here. Talking of future use of corn in ethanol, as long as I have been in this sector, when I moved from steel into commodities, these agri-commodities, I have heard of aflatoxin, and I haven't seen a solution. We have Siddharth Amin in the audience. He'll bear it out. So do you expect a solution overnight? The poultry industry is simply not able to use it for broilers. They use a bit of it for layers. So 2-3% of the feed, and that's why the price is, I checked from somebody, the price is about 14,000 to 15,000 for DDGS. Whereas the global price is about $300 for good DDGS. So unless they get a good DDGS price, how are their ethanol distillation be viable from corn? How much can the government go on increasing the price and burden the consumer for petroleum? Because mind you, high ethanol prices burden the consumer. They don't burden the government. They load it on the fuel price. So on wheat, there was some optimism in Dilip's presentation on procurement, and that was promptly corrected with Deepak. I suspect that in some states, a lot more wheat is bypassing the mandi this year than last time. MP has an arrival of 1.8 million tons as of yesterday. Now, does anyone believe that it will be so little on the 10th of April? And the procurement is 9.25, half of the arrival. And I mean, anyone here can project how much more can be procured, because I suspect the arrivals are about double. And why not? Dilip's presentation said 22 million tons of selected varieties or something. So it's about that much demand of wheat by quality. You call it Sharbati, call it Malavraj, call it high gluten, call it something else, Sortex or this. Sortex wheat demand itself for the households could be about 5 million tons. And they will pay just any price. They have the Ghar Ki Ganti, and so and also the rest of the industry, they just do anything to buy that, because these are price elastic specialty flours, etc. So whereas government's preoccupation with the quantity, 1/4 of the industry is looking at quality. And then where do you get that quality? You get it limited markets like around Rajkot, in Madhya Pradesh, etc. So that's where wheat could be bypassing. Same in UP. UP arrivals so far are 5 lakh tons. Early days, they have yet to pick up. And procurement is only 70,000 tons in spite of trucks being stopped. We have information that village level traders are buying. I'll take you to 2 years ago when cotton was stored. Farmers slept outside and kept cotton inside in the bedroom. They also stacked up cotton on the roof of their houses, covered with tarpaulin. No matter it deteriorate in quality, discolor, or whatever, they didn't care. And so, well, if you probe a bit, I have only a hypothesis on UP. I haven't gone. Deepak, of course, travels a lot. Maybe there's a lot of storing, much more farmer attention than earlier, or the well-to-do farmer buying from the poorer farmer. And if you look at the cross-section of land holding, hardly 1,000 or 2,000 large farmers have sold wheat this year, so far. Early days though. And my wheat number is, well, 105, give or take, a million tons, plus minus million tons. Again, delta. Last year was 98. And how did the government manage? Just correcting Ashish a bit here. It is what is produced is not the demand. What they did last year is they destroyed 6 million tons of demand by giving rice in lieu of wheat. Had they given that, the demand would have been 6 more. That's why that's how they kicked the can down. Imports were needed last year, they kicked it down. It has come to this year. This year, they have shed 2 million tons from the stock, 4-5 million tons substitution, wheat for rice. So if you do a calculation, they very nicely made about 104 million tons. 98 plus 4-5 demand destruction, 103, 2 million tons of stock reduction. So they have, and other thing which is peculiar about wheat in my understanding is, there's again, it's the whole market at one dimension is 2 markets, private and government. Private market is starving. At a different level, it is 3 markets. The miller is the most influential entity in this. 45-46% on-farm retention, and then you have in a given year 35-40 million tons of demand. So you're talking of procurement. You're talking of 80 million tons. How much is left? 20. There's hardly any market for wheat, private market for wheat, and the millers, most of them live hand to mouth. They don't have resources to buy. They approach the likes of Cargill and Louis Dreyfus to go and buy wheat for them and store it and give it just in time in the structured trade arrangements. And so if someone comes along and says, I'll meet, their production is about 50 million tons of the total flour. Someone comes and says, I'll give half of your capacity, like they did in January or December. What will happen to the market? They prevented it from going to 3,000 rupees and stabilized it around 26,000. And it happened, I don't think they knew the segmentation of market. It just happened by chance, by accident.
Yes.
And
so no, sir, very, very rightly said, sir. Actually, I totally agree with you. Like, that numbers sometimes, like, people become optimistic, and especially, like, we know that Big Brother is watching. So everybody has to look optimistic because Big Brother is optimistic. Thanks a lot, Sudh. Like, it was very, very interesting, a very, detailed correlation between these crops. Coming back to Jonah, a last word to you, right? We have heard, the rice is the actual problem. Wheat and corn definitely has to be a problem, but rice is a bigger problem. Now, one of the aspect of rice is that it is water gulping crop, right? Unfortunately, in this, India, 164 districts are such that which are going through severe water stress. We are already seeing water stress across the globe, right? Whether we talk about South Africa, whether we talk about Latin America. Now, how do you see ERI or any other research institutions, right? What sort of work they are doing to ensure that rice water consumption can be reduced so that other crops can survive, the onslaught of rice.
Okay, thanks, Deepak. And you're right. I mean, rice has a very bad reputation for the high water usage needed, and of course also the greenhouse gas emissions, particularly the methane. But the fantastic news is that there's great big new innovations to significantly overcome and change that. And actually my dream, which I'm sure will come to reality, is every one of our speakers today in the future, when they present their data, they will have a whole extra category, which will be about low emissions rice. And the solutions for this low emissions rice is, of course, about reducing the water usage, because it's not the rice that creates the greenhouse gas emissions, it's the bacteria that lives in the water. And actually, if any government wants to mitigate climate change through agriculture and have big impact, there's only two ways to do that, and that's through livestock or rice. And they're the two biggest emitters. Of course, livestock is a much larger emitter than rice, but rice actually has 4 times the ability to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So there's huge, and there's lots of research now and methods for production methods which significantly reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by using less water. And they have many other advantages too, by these alternate wetting and drying or dry direct seeded rice. It not only needs less water, it needs less labour, which actually is the trigger to make farmers adopt it. That's what is attracting them the most to these new methods. And it has been shown to give the same yields and reduce costs of production for farmers, so be more profitable for farmers. Of course, it's site specific, and how we roll out these new innovations going to be very, very particular. And it's a combination of the agronomy used, the breeding, the production practices used, the way we can use the mechanization now with these new methods. And also what IRRI's been able to do is really overhaul its breeding program, because in the past we were breeding for the paddy transplanted rice, and we weren't breeding for these new methods. So that's sort of been a big change in IRRI's program as well. So there's great solutions. The challenge is more rolling it out, getting the farmers comfortable with it, and the whole adoption. And then we've got to brand it. We've got to really create the market. I know the World Economic Forum is looking at how they can create incentives for low emissions rice.
Jonah, you've got on mute. You've gone on mute, sorry.
Oh, okay. Only just then, I hope. Okay.
No, just the last statement.
All right. Okay. So yeah, the last bit was just about how the World Economic Forum is looking at how they can create incentives for countries to have low emissions rice, and it'll be through branding and through different trade sort of advantages. So I think there's a great big exciting future there.
No, I totally agree. And with IRRI's Sustainable Rice Platform, SRP, I think there is a huge opportunity going forward, and the world would be a better place with all the scientists and researchers trying to solve some of the problem of the trade. With that, I'll like to thank this panel. We had a great discussion, and my apologies to all the attendees for stretching this session a little bit longer than expected. Sometimes that happens when you are having such an I'll say that awesome speakers like Sudh Saab, Mohanty ji, Tanmay ji, Jonah, and definitely Ashish Bhai. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate. So, Neeraj, can we go to the next session, and where we'll be talking about pulses. So now we all know that, there has been challenges for very simple reason. Challenges in the sense that I'm not very sure what has happened here. Yeah. So okay. So the pulses, Neeraj, can you put on video of all my awesome panelists? We are having Ankush Bhai, who's heading the Pulse Desk business for Olam. Again, a very strong voice, who always take counter position against the market. We are having Deepak all the way from Canada. Again, very I'll say that sharp analyst who keeps an eye on the world, specifically on lentils and related commodities. We are having another very exciting, I'll say that analyst. I would say that analyst, policy advocacy guy, right? So Rahul Bhai wears so many hats, right? And again, his company iGrain has been providing a lot of insight, information all across different corporates, government, and I believe he's very close to those who makes policy. So if anybody has any recommendation for government, he's the right person to talk to. Then we are having Jaji Bhai is a good friend, and he's all the way from Australia, and we'll understand from him what's happening there. The India's pain is their gain or not. So we'll talk about that. Sohil Bhai's video is not coming up, but again, very sharp trader, who I'll say that in a day, he might be trading equivalent to all of us sitting together, right? So as a rapid high frequency trader, Sohil Bhai. We'll start with you, Rahul Bhai, with your numbers, your views on supply and demand of, we know that some of the key pulses, pigeon pea or tuar, chana or chickpeas, black mape or urad, and for sure lentils. Over to you, Rahul Bhai.
Hi, everybody. Hope my screen is.
Yeah, your screen is showing, and we are having a good darshan of Lord Ram.
Yeah, thank you, Deepak, and thanks for inviting us on this. And today is Eid, so happy Eid to all of you. And today is also third day of Chaitra Navratra, which is also an auspicious day to us. So welcome to all. And before starting this presentation, I'd like to ask everybody who is doing trade or who is importer or who is a miller to declare their stocks on every Friday on government portal. If they are not going to do this, maybe in future some strict actions can be taken by the government. This is my humble request to all of you to declare their stocks honestly and on time. So first I will start from chana. Chana this year, now Rabi season is going on. This is crop condition. In Maharashtra, there are some pockets where the chana resowing has been done because due to less rains and due to El Nino effect. In Rajasthan, overall crop is seems to be very good and promising. In Madhya Pradesh, harvesting is going on and crop is almost on a normal pattern. Karnataka, there were some issues due to rains, and the productivity in Karnataka has been decreased. So overall, in other states, if you see, like in Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, no damage or no pest attack has been seen on the chana. Overall, if you would say that productivity of chana will be at par as equivalent to last year. This year, everybody knows that the sowing area of chana has been reduced, so the overall production seems to be downside from the last year. This is the import, which I have shown these figures. If you see from September to November, when the prices they were down, we have seen good amount of chana arriving, especially from Tanzania and from Tanzania. And if you see export figures, since the prices are in the international market, prices are lower, so the export from India is low. This is about supply and demand figures. So this year we are expecting that we can have 9.5 million metric tons of chana, and if you there was a 2.07 million metric ton of old stock, and after calculating import and the total supply of chana will be 11.72 million metric ton. If you compare with consumption, is much higher, and consumption this year it seems to decrease from last year. It is decreasing due to many factors. Main factor this season will be the import of peas, because some percentage of chana it will be replaced by pea in millets. So consumption is, as I told you, prices are under stress due to pea imports, but they are still higher than the last year. The approximately stocks with the agencies is about 0.9 million metric ton. And this is the price trend of chana. If you see from 2023, after the second half of 2023, the prices of chana, they have improved. The main reason was that the prices which government agencies in last tender they have given, the prices, the auction prices, they were higher than the last 2 years. So the prices increased due to that. I have compared these prices with MSP, and Rabi 2020, the MSP was 4,875, and the full season the prices were below MSP, and in this duration the government procurement was high. In 2021, the prices they were above MSP, due to which the government procurement was less. In Rabi 22 and 23, since the prices were below MSP, the government procurement was high. So if you see the trend of the prices, the total procurement of the government, it depends upon totally on the prices. Now in local mandis, the prices of chana, they are above MSP or at par MSP. So the procurement till Tuesday, it was about 17,000 tons, which was about 2.1 lakh tons in previous year. So see the correlation with the MSP and the local procurement. Why I'm again saying so many times saying about procurement, because government this time has a very limited buffer stock available with them. And last year there was a good stock of chana, due to which they helped to control the other markets by selling Bharat Dal scheme. In Bharat Dal scheme, chana was sold. It is still selling, and moong is also offered. There's a short and long-term prospect. The prices, short-term perspective is that prices may trade around MSP due to pea imports and general elections. And this year, as I told you, government procurement seems to be lesser than last year. And Bharat Dal scheme, they have impacted the local markets as this time they have gone to their consumers without middle persons. So long perspective depends upon how the procurement will be done. So, and this is about moong. Moong this year, moong, and there is a different pattern in moong going on from last 3 years, because in old seasons, the kharif during kharif season, the moong production was better than the rabi and summer season. Now, what is happening to do crop diversification in summer season, the moong crop is being favored by many farmers in India, and due to this, the production in summer season, which is now currently going on, it is increasing year after year, and this season we'll see that the production of summer moong will be much higher than kharif. So let's come about on the production. This year I am expecting 3.2 million metric tons of production. Total availability will be 3.75, more than the consumption of 3.2. And overall ending stock will be 0.5 million metric ton. Government is having a good amount of good quantity of moong with them, which they are they are selling through auctions. And overall moong will be in future, it will be in a range bound, because the government is having stocks with them. So import due to import restrictions, we are not importing any moong from 31st of March 2022. This is the price trend of moong. It is you will see that MSP. I have compared with the MSP. MSP was 7.95, 7.275 in 22. In season 23, it was 7.735. In 2024, it was 8.558. There was a huge jump in between the price in the MSP of 23 Rabi and whole year and 24. So market may trend in the range bound, and government is selling, as I told you, and crop summer, which is going to hit about in May. Let's see how much crop is coming. Pigeon pea is again a very interesting scenario. This year, we assume that due to many factors like El Nino, less waters, and other factors, the production of pigeon pea, it seems to be 2.8 million metric ton. In last 3 years, or rather say in last 4 years, the production of tuor or pigeon pea, it has been decreased drastically because it's a very long crop, and there are many factors like climate factors, they are attached with that crop. If you talk about imports, and from April to February, about 7.2 lakh tons of tuor has been imported in India, which was about 8.22 in last year and 7.65 in 21 and 22 financial year. For complete this financial year, I assume that tuor imports in India, it may touch about 0.8 million metric tons because new crops from Myanmar has started arriving in the country. So these points I have already, which I have written, I have already shown to you. Government is very serious on prices of tuor. So whatever stocks you have, please declare on the online portal. And so the government has done many things to improve the availability in the market. And this time, before 1 year, they have asked importers to, they can import till 31st of March 2025 for all the pulses which we are importing. This is the great concern for us because everybody knows that India is having production issues or availability issues. So the exporting countries with whom we have done MOU to support them, to support us, they are not doing their job religiously. You can see the price trend from it was $870 in 2023, which has moved about 1450. Now, yesterday it was 1390. So this trends needs to be changed because government is very serious on that. And they are yesterday they have told that if people they are not supporting us, maybe we can scrap MOU, or we can import for short duration for the pulses. This is the price trend you will see from 22, 23. The prices they have moved upwards, and the prices they are at record level. And most of the mandis, the prices they are above 10,000 mark, which is very serious concern for us because nobody can replace tuor with any pulse. This is the past and current trend. As I told you, most from last Kharif 2020 to this season, the prices they are much above MSP. And this is about product. Black market is also a serious concern for us because this year, production seems to be down than the last year, and from last 3 years, the production is also decreasing. And this urad crop, luckily, it is sown in Kharif, Rabi, and summer season also. But the overall production seems to be down than the last year due to less production. The carryover stock will be lesser than last year. Urad is the only crop which India grows and Myanmar grows. Now talks with Argentina and Brazil is also going on. Some volumes they have come from Argentina also. Let's see how much in future this will be going to happen. If we talk about imports, from April to Feb, we have imported about 5.6 lakh tons of urad, which is lesser than the last year as compared to from April to Feb. And in 2021, we have imported in this duration, in these 11 months, we have imported about 5.4 lakh tons of urad mainly from Myanmar. This is also, as I told you, this is the price trend of Myanmar because Myanmar is the only country from where we are importing. If you see the urad prices, they are constantly, they are slowly improving, increasing, and they have reached about 1150 in 23, and now they are traded about 1190. So this is also a serious concern, because more the prices of the exporting nations offer to us, the most will be disparity in India. And nowadays there is a disparity in moong and pigeon pea in India, but still we have to import to cater the demand of India. This is the price trend of udar, and price, you will see the MSP, they are constantly increasing the MSP like other pulses. And this year, I think that prices, they will remain above MSP due to low productivity and high import parity. Future trend, it depends upon how much Myanmar is going to offer to us, because this year in Myanmar, the production of udar and also pigeon pea has been improved from the last year. This year, we have heard that there is a report of 0.65 million metric ton of udar in Myanmar. Let's see how the exported country will sell to us. Why I am saying about this Myanmar, because we need pulses, and nowadays due to this high prices in countries, we are facing a lot of problems in India, and the prices of almost except masoor and pea, the prices of all other pulses commodities, they are above than the required level. So let's come about masoor. In masoor and lentils, we are much more comfortable than the last year, because this year Government of India, they have told Food Secretary, Consumer Secretary, Mr. Rohit Kumar Singh, he has told that we are going to have 1.64 million metric ton of lentils, and the import, you will see the import up to Feb, we have imported about 1 million metric tons of masoor. So overall availability will be higher than the last year due to high production and high import. The carry out or ending stock this season, it will be about 0.85 million metric ton, much above than many years. If you talk about import figures, this financial year, I hope that we may import about 1.6 million metric ton, equivalent to the government figures. Overall consumption, if you say, their availability is much above than the consumption. So in masoor or lentils, we are at a comfortable level. So I think in future trend, the price of masoor, they will trend downside than the MSP. And Canada and Australia, they are having huge stocks of, not huge, good amount of lentils available in them. And due to both countries and Russia also, the prices, they will, the offer prices to us, they will be lesser than the last year. Way ahead in masoor is that, as I told you, these points I have already covered in my previous session. So I'll skip on that. Now the main thing is yellow pea or mata. So as you know, the government of India, they have extended the import of mata, yellow peas up to 30th of June 24 for the billing date, I am saying. Until from April to January, this is the government figures. We have imported about 0.68 million metric ton. And this Feb and March data I have taken from different ports through some agencies. And in Feb, we have imported about 0.48 and in March, 0.68 million metric ton. So the total import from December to Feb, it's about 1.275 million metric ton, which will come into India. And of course, it will reduce the, the consumption pattern of India, because the consumption in India is about 27.5 million metric ton, and this amounted, if it comes out in there, it will be also going to consume, as the prices, they will be much lower than the other pulses. This is the chart which I have I have shown to you. In May 23, the prices of Lalitpur Mandi in India, it was 3,700, which has been increased to 5,900 till November 23. On the day on which the import was opened, the prices were 5,400. Due to import of prices, the price in Feb and April, the prices of in local mandis, they have reduced drastically. Now, what is happening due to this? On this date, the prices of peas in international market, they were higher. So there were trade on higher prices done by the importers. And due to these lower prices, I presume that maybe they are not be going to or willing to sell on these current prices. So it depends upon the future, how much maybe government will be going to extend this BL rate or not. I assume that BL rate will be expanded again if the prices moves ahead in the market. So this is this information is taken from market resources, and please work with your head. Thank you, Deepak.
Yeah, thank you, Rahul bhai. Right, it was. Just let me. Neeraj, can you stop the screen share? Yeah, perfect. So excellent presentation, Rahul bhai. Though actually, you know that my engagement with the stakeholders, including government, people think me to be too blunt, and sometimes that is in current scenario is not that great. But I'll put my just 2 cents, right? If government start taking policies on with the knee-jerk reactions, right, they have invited all this misery on them. Why I'm saying that? I'm saying that for a very simple reason. We were becoming nearly self-sufficient in yellow peas. Now, after sowing, if government opens it up, next year farmer is not going to trust you. And this is again one commodity again after another, right? We have seen that a couple of decades back with oilseed. Now we are seeing that in pulses, and it has just already started in grains also. So my advice to the government would be make long-term policies and live with it. Otherwise, you'll keep on chasing everyday basis, right? Where the prices are going. Now I would like to go to Deepak bhai, to you, try to understand from you, right? We are seeing a lot of talks about yellow peas for sure. And in your view, how do you see that this opening up first till March, saying that Indian farmers should not suffer, then extending, then further extending. So from $300, we ended up buying the same yellow peas for $480, which I believe is atrocious waste of resources of a government. Our forex was paid for no good reason. Your views, how do you think these steps are impacting Canadian and Russian farmers? They might be very happy.
First of all, Deepak bhai and everybody, early good morning to everybody, from Canada. It's almost like 7 a.m. here. See, coming to this,
Deepak ji, just again, guys, I would like to thank Deepak ji, he got so early for this conference, and really obliged, sir, actually, getting up 6 in the morning and to speak. Thank you, I really appreciate from the depth of my heart.
No, thank you very much. It's my pleasure. So, coming, as you said, yellow peas, we all know, this is the cheapest pulse. There is no other pulse, which is available for $400 or $500. Secondly, it is consumed in huge quantities. If we go back to 2016, 2017, I think India imported more than 3 million tons of yellow peas. So historically, when we talk about it's the biggest pulse. Secondly, it's the cheapest pulse. And third thing is it replaces many other, as a substitute, say maybe for tur, maybe for chana. And this year, what we have seen is, I'm just giving a little background that, why peas are important and how they are going to, affect the other pulses scenario. So when we look at these, India is struggling with pulses production on most of the crops. You talk about tur, you talk about moong, you talk about desi, or yellow peas is basically banned for almost 6 years. So it was opened almost after 6 years. India was a regular importer of peas before. So you asked me a question how the things are shaping up in Canada and Russia, and what's the current situation is. So when I start with let me start with Russia first. See, today, even Canada is not as important as Russia is, because Russia is the largest producer of peas in the world today with more than 4 million tons. Canada is a little bit suffering in terms of production, but when you look at Russia, so not only the land they have, but it's they don't have, this is mostly for exports. Secondly, it's cheaper, way cheaper than Canada. So when you look at Russia, basically they used to produce these peas basically for, the feed consumption. And it still goes about 50% in their domestic consumption. Plus, they also export as feed peas to the European markets in Italy, Spain, those areas. So when we look at the current situation, we talk about yes, I agree with Rahul bhai that, I've seen the numbers, and India has already imported close to 600,000 tons from Russia this year. Now, the situation in Russia is they don't have too much of cargo to export. Let's say after this extension of April, we talk about maybe 200,000 tons, maybe 175,000 tons. I don't see more cargoes coming from there, because most of the yellow peas in the southern region, whether it is Rostov, Krasnodar, Voronezh, Novorossiysk, those areas, the southern areas, they're almost like finished. So we are talking about the concentration now lies in the central Siberia, northern regions, where it's not easy to bring the movement is very, very difficult. Secondly, the transportation mainly depends on railway wagons, and where the government again, prefers other movements of like wheat or oil or those other products. So coming back to this, like the prices, like if you see at the prices, like we have seen the prices. Yes, you're right. Before India opened on 7th of December, the prices were something like $350, which went as high as 500 plus. So we saw a jump of $150 a ton, once India opened in a matter of few days. So from 500 plus, yes, Indian market started coming down from something like 60 plus rupees to like today we are talking about almost like 40, 41 rupees. So when you see this, so what has happened? So there was a big, you can say the parity, and the parity has started coming down. So today we talk about something like 455, 460 levels. These are the values of the offers which are coming from Russia. As I said, the availability is very less. Secondly, we talk about, Russia has an export duty of 7%. It is basically an exchange-based duty. So as long as ruble is above 80 versus dollar, there is the duty will come into the picture. So it's not like free thing. Secondly, for Russia, they don't care because, they have a big market like China. Last year, they opened up for China. And believe me, they have exported almost like 1 million tons to China. So they are producing more, they have markets. So the situation with Russia is we don't see too much of prices going down, at least for the current crop. With the new crop, as I've written a few days ago in my report, also they are talking about a similar number, something like 4.2 million tons. But Russia is not as good as Canada or other Western countries or US or Australia in terms of production, in terms of crop cultivation, in terms of management, in terms of yields. Secondly, we are talking about some dryness in Russia. So if that happens, the yields can go down drastically. So in terms of production is coming close to that. Yes, there is a difference because nobody knows what will happen after June. So if India comes back into the picture, which is a more likely scenario, like I would say 60 to 70% India will be back in the market in July. But if it doesn't happen, then definitely the prices, the gap is like $50 to $55 right now between the old crop and the new crop. So which can come down. If India comes, the price will come down. If India does not come, probably the gap will increase. This is about Russia. Now let me come to Canada and US. So we talked about Canada. So Canada, as I said, it's a huge country. Like they have a history of producing peas, but then Canada production, if you see, it's more or less stagnant. It's not only about how much the acreage they are planting. It's more about the yields here. Even if you see last year, they did not have too much of reduction in the plantings or acreage. It was mainly the yields which affected basically the production. There was a massive drop. Secondly, we are talking about we are going into planting now. They have not started the planting in Canada, so we are talking about the planting. Secondly, we need the rains also. So here Canada will harvest their peas crop somewhere in the month of August. So we have 3 months. So we need 3 months continuous rains, maybe smaller rains like 2.5 inches per month. But we need those rains. If those rains don't come, again, we'll see suffering in the yields. If you see the numbers, we talk about the projection is something like coming back to this India's impact on Canadian farmers. So look, in Canada, they don't look at India. They don't look at other factors. How they look at is they look at the gross margins versus other crops. So for them, canola is a bigger crop. For them, wheat is a bigger crop. For them, durum is a bigger crop. So whenever they have to compare the gross margins with these areas or these crops. Now, yes, canola suffers, But it's about, how much, that Indian scenario can impact the plantings, how much it can increase, how much it can decrease. Like for me, the swing is like maybe 5 to 6%, not more than that. It is not like, because Canadian farmers are not like, Russian farmers or Indian farmers. They're rich farmers. They have a lot of government protection schemes, like government insurance schemes. Like even if they wipe out their entire crop, they go to the government, they get the compensation. So they're not worried about like, the yields or the weather vagaries, or, if India doesn't buy, what will happen to their cargoes. So I don't see too much of impact of Indian scenario. In terms of production, yes, right now everybody is talking about, and the figures suggest that there may be an increase in production of close to 500,000 tons of yellow peas in Canada. But look at US. US buys a lot of peas from India. US has a big market of close to 1,000,000 tons. So US does not only buy only for feed purpose, they use it for fractionation, they use it for starch, they use it for, the World Food Program, because US is one of the largest suppliers of World Food Program, especially to Africa. They make yellow split peas and then they supply. Then third thing is like, so US is going to experience at least 250 to 300,000 tons of reduction in their yellow peas production. So some substitution, like even if Canada produces, so let's say if Canada is producing 500,000 tons more, so 300,000 tons will be consumed by US. Because whenever US in the market, Canada does not look at any other market. They don't care about what China is doing. They don't talk about, what this, because it's like, we have NAFTA. It's much easier to trade. There are no duties. And, transportation is just like, you book the rails. In few days, the railways are there and you get your money paid. A lot of production, a lot of other things. So coming back to that, how the situation has unfolded. Now, on the other side, look at India. So Indian prices, as you rightly said, like, when India opened, like, of course, the government objective was to, bring down the inflation, to control the market, and a lot many, like, there's commodities. If you see last 2-3 months, the prices of most of the commodities, they were able to control because of yellow peas. Because yellow peas, we talk about 1.2 million tons. Like, you tell me any other product apart from lentils, because lentils is in huge supplies. But if you tell me any other product, there is no other product where you say, okay, over 1 million tons you can import in a couple of months' time. So this is, I believe, yes. Now, because of the supplies, now going forward in the next 2-3 months, we are talking about the current crop right now, because new crop availability is not before July. So from the current supplies, I suggest, or I believe, based on the reports and talking to various farmers in Russia and Canada, we talk about something close to 350 to 400,000 tons will be exported in this, maybe you can say May and June, which can arrive maybe till July or August. So this can come. So, and secondly, we also have to see, so it is not like before that, you have ample of cargoes, you buy in Russia, you buy in Canada, and you just load it for India. Second thing is the price factor. So before, as I said, there was a lot of parity. You buy here and Indian prices was giving you a premium always. Now this is not the situation. Now there is a lot of disparity. So you go here, like, just to give you an example, like before the Canadian prices was something like 380. Now here we talk about 400 plus. And when you look at the situation, like the local prices in Canada today is like 450. So we call it like the track prices of 450 and people are buying. I don't know how they're trading. So there is some stock transfers are also happening. So we have to see these things. Looking at this, I don't see any cheap cargo will come from Russia or Canada now for the current crop. The prices will remain firm, at least for next 2-3 months. Then it depends on the new crop prices. Also, it depends on the Indian scenario, like India will open or not. But looking at not only in peas, looking at the situation of peas, looking especially at the situation of tuar, looking at the situation of desi, basically, and maybe a little bit of urad also. Because, right now I was listening to one of the, an article about somebody, talked about urad, India is going to produce this year, very good. And somebody was talking about that, this year, India will have a very good monsoon. So if you see, again, we are talking about good monsoon, but it's very erratic. June, we are talking about much lesser monsoon. July, yes, the rains are increasing. Again, August, the monsoon is dipping. And then we talk about September, huge rains, 110%. So that coincides with the harvesting of urad again in India. So again, because Indian production too much depends on monsoon, so we can't say anything with certainty about Indian demand scenario. And on the other side, if we look at it, like, we all know India is a huge country with a population of 1.4 billion people. And, the consumption is growing. Even if you
True.
see the consumption of pulses is about 2.5 to 3% on an average per annum. So in general, like, I don't think, Russia has impacted a lot by the Indian situation right now. They are going to produce more, but they have their own limitations. So I don't see too much of production extra coming from Russia. Similarly, Canada also, but a lot of Canadian peas this year will go to US.
Perfect.
Prices also,
So,
I think
sure. No, it's
yeah, thank you.
No, very, very well elaborated. Thank you, Deepak bhai, for that. So I totally agree with you. Like, there are the challenges is that, like, we need to understand one thing, that the price control as of now, as on date, right? It is pushing the price rise to the future. A crop which is like, all together, all import plus production in India, which is hardly 3 million, right, cannot take care of a crop, right, which is actually like, short by 3 million of a crop size of 13 million, right? So when we talk about, like, chana, right, yes, 10% substitution, right, but
Yes.
eventually, like, you have to understand there is a bigger shortfall. Tuar has already shown that, like, yellow peas has not impacted it at all, right? Whatever correction we are seeing here is that at arrival corrections are there. Currently, Tuar is like, close to 25-30% above last year, same time. So I would say that, like, we might use statistic to show that, like, this was a great decision to reduce the price of Tuar, chana and everything. But I'm saying that for chana, it is temporary, right? Still, like, chana would be like, I've not seen compare the number, but it would be higher than the last year, same time. So I'll say that, like, let's see. But as you said, like, whether India will keep it open, I doubt, like, India will close it, right? We have got a bad habit now, and that, see, bad habits are very difficult to, like, move away with. Now I'll go to, like, before I go to my like, trading partners, I would like to go to JG Bhai to understand lentil situation in Canada, in Australia. Also, like, you would be very happy that we might end up opening up, like, chana also soon.
So yes, Deepak bhai and everybody else, I don't like when India opens up, actually, because that is a very erratic movement and disrupts the neighboring countries as well as disrupts the entire trading pattern of the industry. Because prices jump erratically by $100, $50, it doesn't matter. It just changes so drastically that it is very difficult to understand and have a steady pattern of trading. It is good at times because it is also bringing in the movement, so people get an opportunity to put in and dip in some money. But otherwise, overall, people who are looking for a long-term, trying to build a business by trading, it becomes a little bit difficult as well. So it's not about just Teji Mandi that people every time try and play. Lentils out here has been very steady. 100% of whatever in Australia is looking to grow is very, very, very dependent on the way India consumes. Lentil is something that they will still produce and keep it, even though India's production or consumption reduces or increases, because they have a longevity to store that product here. And there are countries that will import over a period of time. But sowing will depend on that number. So we also are very similar to how Canada looks at it, which is the return of investments. At this point of time, lentil has been one of the only product that has been giving return of investment for the last 10 years, irrespectively. So farmers will continue growing lentils. They will put at it. Now we are almost I think we were last year or this year higher than production than Canada as well, whereas we were 25 or 30% of what Canada used to produce in the past. So you can see that the lentils production, acreages, yields, everything will constantly increase no matter how long India imports. Chickpeas is a very funny one. It is very dependent on India because it is predominantly the major imports, apart from Bangladesh and a bit here and there from Pakistan. But it is 100% dependent on the way India is going to look at from opening up and the prices in India that are rallying and going up. So everybody has already understood the sentiments that India is going to be opening up. That is already been factored in the pricing. I think the farmers have also already accepted the fact that India will open up, and they have already considered about sowing and increasing the acreages. People have already started discussing and conversations have already started coming that we will have over 1 million tons, even though sowing hasn't started yet. But we will be expecting a larger crop than last year for sure.
And I think in chickpea, like, it's all your crop is based on it because of Indian imports. Like, we've seen past few years, there is a reduction in the crop of chickpeas just because India stopped importing. So as you said,
100%.
people are anticipating. So do you see that, like, not just the pricing part of it, but also, like, when we talk about the farmers at the grassroots level, their understanding of this is so deep that actually, like, they'll be growing for India, knowing that still it is not open.
Oh, yes, for sure, because there's already been a lot of trades that have already happened. I would say without even having sowing done, you are looking at close to about 30,000 tons or 25 to 30,000 tons of chickpeas, new crop chickpeas that have been already traded to the Indian counterparts, with obviously options taking a backup option for Chittagong and Jabal Ali. So market prices have already factored in. Today, you are looking at chickpeas prices for new crop between $720 to $730 Indian ports. And people have bought that, and they are regularly buying with options as a just in case as an insurance that India doesn't open up. They will probably just flog it off to Chittagong or Jabal Ali. So you see, the industry is already factored it and taken that into consideration that India will open up. The numbers that have been produced and shown over the period of time has significantly expressed that opinion that India is very short in chickpeas, and they will open up with some sense of duty, if not zero duty, but they will definitely open up. Is kind of a agreement and census out here already been concluded. So I would say they have already factored in 80% that India is going to open up. So here you can understand if India doesn't open up, or the longer it delays, the prices will definitely plummeted by another $100.
Right. No, because actually, like, the Jebel Ali is very interesting port, right? Before we opened yellow peas, Jebel Ali was having yellow peas. Before we
Yes.
opened chickpeas, Jebel Ali would be having chickpeas also. So pretty interesting. In fact, like, the Jebel Ali has been one of the biggest re-export hub for, like, rice. I believe going forward, Jebel Ali will become a port which would be re-exporting close to a couple of million tons of pulses, because India is going to import at least 3.5 to 4 million tons this year. Now, I would like to go to Ankush Bhai. Ankush Bhai, you have heard the different analysts, different markets, right? Now, like, you are someone who have been, I said, always, like, go against the wind, right? What is your view of, like, this whole yellow peas thing, right? How do you see it is going to impact it? And do you think, like, government is going to continue keeping it open?
First of all, thank you, Deepak Bhai, for inviting me on this webinar. And wish all of you a very, very happy Navratra and very happy New Year as per the Hindu calendar for all my viewers on the screen. And to answer your point, Deepak Bhai, I think the other Deepak Bhai have already explained in a very, very detailed manner regarding the yellow peas. But I think there's a fundamental supply demand gap this year across pulses as a basket, right? But when we see Indian economy, so we have multiple class of people who can afford, and whom we can categorize basis their affordabilities, right? And yellow peas being the cheapest product available. In the past, almost a decade back, we have seen the overall consumption gone up to 2.5 to 3 million ton as well. I won't say that this year it will jump up to that scale within this year itself. But if, let's say, the government of India keeps that confidence among the milling processing community in India, as well as the overall trading community in India, then the imports are quite feasible. And when the imports are quite feasible, as I have always been saying, that imports should always be open. What should eventually be deciding factor is the duty, right? So that whether it is an overseas farmer or an Indian farmer, both should have a very clear policy that the cargoes are available. The cargoes will be sold. The cargoes will have a liquidity, whether it is in Australia or Canada or Russia or Ukraine or in India or in Bangladesh or Pakistan. At what price, at what duty structure, that's a very commercial thing, which all the governments can eventually try to drive depending on the supply and demand situation. So at this point in time, the kind of number which we are expecting at about 1.4 to 1.5 million ton basis the June BL date, I believe post-June, as Deepak Bhai has also said, that Russia and Canada is going to have a new crop seasonality there. So I think the government should definitely consider the opening up of yellow peas, because definitely there is a shortage in chickpeas, which can be met by yellow peas to a greater extent. May not be fully, but not partially as well. As in, it can eventually try to compensate 15 to 20% of the shortage for sure. So that can definitely become a substitute in India. So I think government should definitely look into those perspectives.
And secondly, again, Ankush, we're going with the same, we are also short of chickpeas, right?
Right.
Chana is seriously short, right? Whether you go with the government data or someone else's government data, I always believe in delta, right? Based on last year, the private trade and based on government last year data, if you compare what they're talking today, there is seriously, somebody's talking about shortage of 1.5 million, somebody's talking about shortage of 2.5 to 3 million. So there is a big number of amount of shortage. Similarly, in PGNP, the government itself has agreed, that again, there are close to 0.8 million metric tons of shortage when we compare to the previous year. Now, how do you foresee, the chickpea, right, going forward? Because to certain extent, as we are seeing currently, yellow peas is buffering it to certain extent. But at the same time, this cannot be long term. You cannot have basin 100% made up of yellow peas, right? And basin is the biggest I'll say that value added product of chana. Do you see just government is trying to do it for sense of that if we can make buffer by keeping chana low, by keeping at hands off on yellow peas, so that the market is still not going to 60s or 70s so early. Maybe after they buy it, then whether it goes to 70, they don't care.
Sure. So Deepak bhai, I tell you there are two types of uh, uh, larger categories wherein people eventually try to trade. So there are variables. One is the data and second is the sentiments. What you have just explained is largely the sentiment. Let me just try to take Rahul Bhai's presentation and take you to the maybe bit narrow and deeper into the data of chickpea shortage. So let's say 1.5 to 2.5 is the number which I just said. So on an average, let's say 2 million ton is the shortage which the overall industry is perceiving. And on a scale of 10 million ton, where more than 50 to 60% of the cargo of chickpeas is getting converted into the basin. So which means let's say 5 to 6 million ton of the basin getting consumed. Out of this 5 million ton of basin, about 15 to 20% of basin can be definitely replaced by or blended by the yellow peas, which means about a million ton. So when we look at the overall supply demand gap, which means the 2 million ton gap which we were discussing just now is now limited to a million ton gap. Secondly, last year the government of India could able to procure more than 1.8 million ton during the season because the prices were prevailing below the MSP. This year, at this point in time, the market prices are trading at MSP or above MSP across different APMCs, which means farmers have a better incentive to sell the cargo at the open market, which means the cargo which they could sell to the government, which is about 1.8 million ton last year, this time it will become a marketable surplus right from the day one. Right. So effectively, if we see the overall shortage of a million ton, which we are, let's say, anticipating, will be effectively fed by the 1.8 million ton, which was being procured by the government last year in the beginning. This time it is marketable surplus. So I think it is very, very early to predict, and I understand the market's sentiments, which has been driving the market prices for the past almost couple of months. And we have seen the prices of chickpeas have moved from 50 rupees a kg to 60, 61, or 62 rupees a kg now. But I think the next 2 or 3 or 4 months, the markets will eventually typically converge towards fundamentals. And when the real, if at all shortage will be there, then that will come up and then the real price discovery will happen. But for the next 2 or 3 or 4 months, I think availability is good. But post July, post August, when the festive season will come, when the rainfall season will come, then definitely we have to see how the fundamentals will converge. But it's a bit early to define any specific shortage in chickpeas. I don't deny the fact that there is not shortage. There is a shortage, but not 2 or 3, maybe 1 or 1.2. That's largely on the chickpeas.
Perfect. So I would see if Sohail Bhai is around, because I could have seen him. So, yeah. So Sohail Bhai, same question to you. If you can hear me.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah. Yeah. So, sir, actually, like, what the impact do you see of, like, yellow peas, right, on the chickpea itself, right? Do you see that, like, it would ensure that the prices would remain range bound or would be controlled?
See, the government has to open the yellow peas around the year. If they doesn't open, there will be a good price movement will be seen in chickpeas and in tour, basically, and also be it in lentils as well. But if they keep open throughout the year, they will have some sort of cushion in prices for chickpeas and tour. But and seems ahead, it looks that yellow peas will be open around the year, and they have to open because the prices of desi are moving like crazy, and also the poor as well. And this will not stop.
So, according to you, like, we should keep yellow peas open for whole of the year. And any views on, like, the other part of the peas family, green peas?
See, there are quite a strong rumors going on regarding the green peas, and looking at the green peas prices, which has reached to 90 rupees almost. They might open green peas as well, and I personally feel that they will open all the pulses very soon. Nothing new in this because there is a shortage for sure. Whether they open after the election or before the election, that is a different story.
No, I'm given to believe that 30th November everything would be an OGL, and as like, very rightly Ankush bhai, like, described it, right? It should be controlled by duties, right? There is no point in, like, every alternative day the traders, the farmers, the consumers, right, waiting with fingers crossed that khulega ke band hoga, right? Now in the morning, rather than seeing IPL like a score, I see the news ke aaj kya khula, aaj kya band hua hai, right? Or like, we end up doing the same what we are doing in wheat, right? Ask trader not to buy chickpeas, right? Price will come down, but these are all short term gap. So I totally agree with you, Salbhai, like, that we should open up all, including, like, uh, green peas. But I believe, like, that opening should be done before the sowing, so that farmer knows actually where he's getting, right? Opening it mid of the game, right? वो T20 का एक इनिंग खत्म होने के बाद आपने बोला कि, like, you only have one bowler should only bowl 3 overs. Now you are only having 5 bowlers, so you can only bowl 15 overs. You cannot bowl 20 overs. So that's not fair. So your views on, like, this opening, like, in middle of the season, does that make sense?
See, it's not that opening in the middle of the season or after or before the season, but you cannot predict this government when they will do what. So they will open for sure, and they will have to open. That is sure. Green peas,
No,
I
your
think
view.
they might open within this month only. What I feel so.
No, I also believe that, like, based on their track record, right? 90 for green peas is too much, and because of that, if you see, like, impact of even the fresh peas, right? It touching, I think 230, 240 rupees per kg, right? They'll be doing something for sure. Now, whether they open it with duty, unlike what mistake they did it in yellow pea, they might not repeat that and might open with some duty. That's a possibility. Now, coming to again, like, what do you see the impact of, like, on the prices of yellow peas going forward? तुअर तो it is decided, like, इससे नीचे नहीं जाने वाला है, इसके आसपास ही घूमेगा. Now I think only point of discussion is, like, yellow peas. Do you think it's going still further down, or it is stabilized already?
No, I see yellow peas moving more 200 rupees, minimum 200 rupees from the current level. The way the demand is driving and the prices from the origin are also very high. I see minimum 200 rupees yellow peas moving from here very soon.
Right. Now, question to you first, like, and then Ankush bhai, same question. Do you think, like, the government should be working with the private sector to build buffer? Because as rightly shared by Deepak bhai, like, yellow peas is cheapest possible pulses. Why not to make a buffer of 3 lakh or 5 lakh ton by government for pulses when they have no pulses left in their kitty?
Yellow peas, they will stock 100% for sure, around 250K to 300K. The reason is because the chickpeas availability will be less, tuor is less. Their only forte will be lentils and yellow peas to create a buffer. So they'll definitely buy. When they will buy, that is the biggest question. Maybe in this month or next month. We just need to wait and watch.
Lentil, they still have some crops. So I think lentil they might not be, because they also buy from the farmer. We have a
No,
pretty
they will
decent
buy from
lentil
the
crop.
farmer. It's not, see, lentils they will buy from the farmer. They will not buy imported because they have imported enough stock. But they have to support
Okay.
the farmer on the same way. But for the yellow
100%.
peas, they need for the yellow peas they need to buy from the local market imported ones, because the domestic is not a great, not a big crop, which earlier people were focusing around 1.1, 1.2 million. It's not that.
No, it's see, even I believe in that, like, maybe green plus yellow peas all together would be like, 0.7 to 0.85, right? Because
Yeah.
this is very difficult to find exact outcome of this, because peas are still not being like, very scientifically, like, even calculated by the private player. But I'm looking at 0.7 to 0.85, all peas together. So that will lead to shortfall, and government won't be able to get much from there. So yellow peas, maybe like, they should think of buying and creating buffer.
No, once the
Ankush, by
yellow
your
peas
view,
by 1,000 rupees ton, they will come into picture for buying. And this will
perfect.
go up.
Perfect. Ankush, by your views?
Can you please repeat the specific question, Deepak bhai, again? I
So,
heard
my question is that, like, yellow pea seems to be the cheapest pulses available to the government. They might not get chana, right? They might not get tuar because they tried this open market thing. But I think government number is 25,000, and trade number is like, roughly like, 10 to 12,000 tons. They have been able to do it, even going with that portal. Your views, like, do you see government building buffer for, like, use by buying imported yellow peas of maybe 2 lakh or 3 lakh tons?
Deepak, I think it's a very complex question at this point in time. Why? Because at this point in time, when we see the Rabi crop coming in, right, the harvest of this season is coming in. So I think the focus should be to support the Indian farmer. And to support the Indian farmer, it is most likely that the government should start procurement of lentil first at the MSP. And yellow peas, as you rightly said, that since it is 0.7 to 0.8 million ton of the desi crop, let's say including yellow peas and green peas, and wherein they do not have any MSP policy, MSP pricing on the commodity. So instead of supporting the Indian farmer buying the imported cargo and again supporting the Indian farmer, international grower, it seems bit difficult. It seems bit difficult and bit irrational at this point in time. Maybe a couple of months later, rather, they should first try to devise a policy on the MSP of the commodity if they really believe that yellow peas can be a substitution and they can run through some of the schemes. Because creating buffer is not only to just to have a commodity in their kitty, but rather to exit or to liquidate the commodity in a right manner so that it is available through PDS or MDM scheme or multiple schemes to the right consumer. Right. So at this point in time, or historically, they have not procured yellow peas and they have not distributed yellow peas so far. So whatever they have distributed is the main essential commodities in India, which are typically lentils, chickpeas, pigeon peas, black mape. So all these commodities they have distributed multiple times and through multiple modes. So I think buying yellow peas during this time when the elections are on the head, right, and the rabi crop is on the head. So the farmer is already facing the harvest. So instead of supporting our own farmer, buying imported cargo bit difficult, and buying the local cargo without the MSP is again a bit of a policy matter.
No, no, I totally agree. It is not going to happen till election for sure. But in fact, like, just to update you, government has already started procuring of like, masoor or lentil,
Right.
right, in MP and UP, and their
Right.
target is like, pretty decent. They're
Correct.
looking at 15% of total crop at least to be procured. So government is proactive in ensuring that, like, our farmers get money, at least when it comes to, like, lentils for sure.
And that is where I can tell you one more thing, that last year when the lentil season started, the prices was about 6,000 rupees. The MSP was 6,000 rupees. This time the MSP is about 64.50 rupees, 24.25 rupees. At this point in time, the farmer is really getting, so the government does not keep any cap to procure and as compared to the quantity. So typically they have registered almost the n number of farmers, and those farmers can typically try to deliver the cargoes at the MSP to the government. And I'm pretty sure that this time they can procure minimum 3 to 4 lakh ton. This is what I believe they should, and they will be able to procure that much of the quantity.
Yeah, I think 3 lakh ton is actually also that number I've been shared, that actually that
Right.
should be the procured. So last, thank everyone. So last, Tanmay, you work like, advise government. Any views from you on, like, the unfolding of this saga of, like, the peas in India? yellow peas, green peas, pigeon peas, right? Or chickpeas. Tanmay, are you there?
Yeah, Deepak ji, yeah. I'm here.
तो आप you sit in DOCA meetings, कुछ insight scoop दो हमको भी. ब्रेकिंग न्यूज हम भी चलाए. कल ब्रेकिंग न्यूज चला था 20% ड्यूटी ऑन येलो पीस. एंड मेरा मतलब लाइक मेरा बीपी बढ़ गया. मैंने कहा इन्होंने खोला क्यों अगर इनको ड्यूटी लगानी है तो. बट योर व्यूज सर.
Well, Deepak ji, first of all, I would like to mention that it was a complete rumor that the government is going to impose a 20% duty on yellow peas imports, because if they wanted to impose any kind of duty, they could have not been extended the import timeline for yellow peas. And secondly, I would like to mention one thing, that as of now, there is no plan for government to make a buffer of yellow peas, right? And the talks which is or the rumors which are going on in the market, like government is going to open the green peas imports, that is also false rumor which is spreading in the market. So yes, there is no chance of buffer for yellow peas, and there is no scope for opening of green peas also, as far as I know. And rest, talking about the production numbers and all, as Rahul has already presented. So my point of view differs a little bit from the Rahul, but he has presented in his production estimates, particularly for the chickpeas, chana. Basically, the opening stocks which the market is having in this current financial year, or the marketing year, it is below 1 million tons, or around 1 million tons, which in Rahul's presentations it was close to or over, slightly over 2 million metric tons. And secondly, yes, as everybody has mentioned, like Ankush ji and Sohail bhai and others have also mentioned this key, like this year there is a shortage of chana. Government of India knows this thing very clearly, that yes, there is a shortage of chana, and to fulfill this gap, they have opened, in fact, they have taken this smart move of opening of yellow peas imports. So this yellow peas imports, I think, since the shortage will continue until the next season, so this yellow peas imports will be continue to be there. Whether the quantity will be, let's say, 1.5 million tons or 1.8 million tons or 2 million tons, whatever it is. But yes, they are going to extend this yellow peas imports timeline because of this shortage. And secondly, coming to the tour part, Government of India is very much concerned about the tour prices. And in yesterday's meeting also, which is attended by Rahul also, which he has already mentioned in the starting of this of his presentation, like Government Head India, the Consumer Affairs Department has requested the stakeholders to declare their stocks every Friday, and those who will find that they are underestimating or underreporting their stocks, the harsh actions may be taken by the Consumer Affairs Department. And already they have informed all the principal secretaries of the states to go for a check of stocks lying at ports, of different ports. So, Deepak, as of now, this is what the situation which is prevailing in the department and the ministries.
Perfect. So Rahul ji, last word to you, right? Because यहाँ पे बात एक हुआ है, as you and Tanmay ji both were at the meeting. Sir, when there is no stock limit, right? There is no stock limit for a pigeon pea or as on date, right? I always believe that there is a mandatory, and I think this is only they have re-saying that, right? You need to disclose this for a long time. Only they have added peas now. So they have never asked that don't disclose. So this disclosure has been there for past more than a year now, close to a year now, right? Last year only they asked it. So don't you think that reiterating the same thing, and unless they come with a stock limit, right? You can go and inspect, and then you can talk, have tea, and come back, right? Actually, even if somebody sitting with 1,000 tons of pigeon pea not selling, because there is no stock limit, he's not doing anything illegal. Second thing, your views on very simple point, right? See, we produce in 6 season, sell it in 2 season, and then consume whole year. Somebody will stock it. So does the feeling which we are getting that only government will stock and all the rest of the people just keep on selling to each other even if there is no demand?
This is a question to me.
Yeah, if you want to.
See,
and your counter to Tanmay in case you want to do that. That's fine.
See, Deepak, what is happening now? The situation is completely different than the old months. The new crop of Kharif, it is about 6 months far away. Like I'm talking about Moong and Urad, and Tuar might be 10 months far away from this time. So situation is deeply concerned, and there are, as you know, the production is less. So government is going to be very serious, and this time I feel very hard action can be taken on the people who are not even declaring their stocks. They can have a list of processors from FSI also. People who are not disclosing their stocks, certain actions can be taken because the situation is changing day by day nowadays. So I don't think so. Don't think that like previous times they have not done anything on the traders, but this time I think they are quite very serious on that.
No, I'm agreeing. They have to be serious. But what I'm saying that there is no rule broken. Yes, if they are not disclosing, that is illegal, right? But if they disclose, somebody disclose that, like, he's sitting with 1,000 metric tons, right? And I believe all the traders who are listening to it, right? Please follow the rule, right? If you have not read Essential Commodity Act, please read it, right? That act is very, very wide. Government has a lot of power. So be careful, like, not to do anything which is illegal and which is not unethical also, right? I believe ethics has to be there. But my question was a little bit different about, like, because we, as you rightly said, after 10 months, the crop is going to come, somebody will stock it, right? And if somebody stocks it, right, he's I'm saying that not doing anything illegal, provided he makes it a mandatory disclosure.
Yeah, they have not told about that thing. If somebody has enough stock or more stocks than their capacity, they are going to punish them. They just want to recheck what are the stocks available with the traders or the millers, and parallelly they can also learn from that. If the people or the traders, they do it on honestly, they can easily understand where are the stocks lying. As per my knowledge or as per my resources, most of the big farmers who are also traders, they have stocks with them. They are anticipating good prices in future. They are also keeping stocks with them.
Exactly. Actually, this is what I'm saying. Like, and believe me, nobody can do anything if farmer stocks it, right? This is produce, right? He can keep it as much as long as he wants.
Well, Deepak ji,
with that,
Deepak ji, this is what is happening for lentils right now. We are saying that this year the crop is higher than the last year's. Of course, yes. What our ex-Consumer Affairs Secretary, Mr. Rohit ji, has mentioned that this year we are going to have a 16 lakh tons or 17 lakh tons or a record high crop. Of course, the scenario is not like that because there are losses in the crop and the production estimate is just above the last year's number. So, what is happening? जो अभी यहाँ पर जितने भी स्टॉक्स की हम बात कर रहे हैं या फिर जो वे वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द गवर्नमेंट इज गोइंग टू टेक एक्शंस एंड ये currently farmers are holding back their stocks, and this situation also persists for chana to some extent. Like, if the farmers are unwilling to sell their stocks in open market, what traders will do and what government is going to do? They have no options, basically. And ultimately, it will drive up the prices because millers are there. They have to run their mills. They want the quantities. And until unless farmers offload their stocks in open market, that quantity will not come into the market. Right. So this is the situation which is persisting right now. And जैसे अभी राहुल जी ने भी बताया कि गवर्नमेंट ने ऐसा कुछ मतलब स्ट्रिक्टली नहीं बताया कि yes, we are going to take such and such action or something like that. But one point is very clear with the Consumer Affairs Department that they have the information flow from the Department of Customs, and they know how much stocks are lying at the custom bonded warehouses and how much stocks which are still waiting for the OOC out of charge, which is not yet cleared. So government is trying from the yesterday's meeting, and they were mentioning that the stakeholders should immediately clear those stocks and offload it into the open market. They are not saying no, don't stock, but some quantity should they should stock offload in the open market, so that the supply side will be maintained.
Tanmay ji, I was totally with you till desi prices were below the imported lemon prices. Currently, it has reversed, right? So now desi is substantially higher than the lemon, right? Now that itself shows that actually total crop of Myanmar is 2.5 to 3 lakh tons, right? Which is not even 10% of overall Indian crop. So I'm saying that all the best to the government, but it might not impact the pricing. It might give a sentiment, as rightly shared by Ankush bhai, कि market का price is sentiment or supply demand दोनों से चलता है. Sentiment wise, it might help, but last year also we have seen whenever they've come out with a stock limit in tuar, and I'm talking about just tuar, stock limit in tuar, whenever they came out within 1 month you have to any imported cargo has to be sold. Market reacted other way around because it saw government to be doing more panic. I was talking to one official and we have interesting discussion. उन्होंने बोला अगर कहीं पे आग लगी होती है उस पे डंडा नहीं मारना चाहिए, चिंगारियां ज्यादा निकलती. With that we will end this discussion, right? And my view to the government is that keep calm, right? Don't talk too much about pulses. Take your action, because more you talk, the more market see it as a panic by the government. Thank you. We had a great panel discussion. Now we'll go to the next panel discussion.
Thank you.
On spices. So Neeraj, if we can have our spices panelist, video turned on, so we can start discussion on that. And my apologies to everyone, we are having some interesting discussion, so a little bit extension of the time has happened. And my apologies for that. But the discussion does not get concluded unless we come to a very clear action point for all those who are the audience. And I would like to welcome Ashwin Bhai is a veteran in the industry, and he's chairman of Federation of Indian Spices Stakeholders, and he has been in this industry for a very long time. We also have Himanshu, who actually is a profit center head for spices and pulses at Valency. Then we have Basavaraj, who's works very directly with the farmers, very strong, I'll say that, network among the farmers on chili. And then we have Jatin. Jatin is again someone who has been doing the brokerage in the spices market, which is another very important area to work. And then we are having Dhiresh, who is VP marketing foods at Al Ghurair. And we'll start with you, Ashwin bhai, your views on supply and demand of some of the commodities, specifically when we talk about cumin, coriander, turmeric, and chili, right? We see turmeric touching high records and correcting a little bit. Coriander ka to sir pata hi nahi chal raha, I think there is only one direction it is going. Cumin is also going in one direction, that is downwards. Chili, it is balanced. So your views on these 4 commodities, sir? सर आप म्यूट हैं, आपको अनम्यूट करना पड़ेगा.
Okay.
जी सर.
Now I am audible?
Yes sir, loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you, Deepak bhai. Actually, as you know, I am working with the FISS, Federation of Indian Spice Stakeholders, where we are doing mainly on cumin, coriander, and turmeric also. So I will start with the cumin. Cumin, actually, as everyone knows, last year it was made a history. The price was touched almost 650 rupees per kilo. It was maybe due to the less crop or shortage of the availability, and there is speculation also. And the main role was done by the electronic exchanges and in the even private speculators also. With the highest prices, farmers cultivated a very huge crop, and luckily they got good weather also. So crop is around, as per our estimation, is around 1 crore bags, 50,000 tons, almost 500,000 tons. And as per my personal view, the demand is around 80-85 lakhs bags. So there is no big gap between supply and the demand. This year also we don't have the big carryover. Carryover is almost nil. But huge crop created bad sentiment and prices going down, down and down. And now it's now almost around 200 rupees level. Till people are looking for the new crops coming in the June and July from China, Turkey and Syria. So once that picture is clear, then only the trend for the cumin will be clear. Till then, I think market will remain sideways. Other major thing happened in the market was after a big crash in the prices during November, December, there was a lot of money lost by the many traders, and the crunch of financial position also in the market. So that's why there is a lack of the buying, and many things are going on. So these things is going on in the cumin. Coriander, the crop is 40% less compared to last year. But carryover from the last year crop and the previous year crop is still good. So total demand and supply till availability is more. And other major factor is the supply from the Ukraine and Russia. So Ukraine and Russia are playing major factor in the market, but since last 2-3 months, their prices are very high, mainly due to the Red Sea issues. The freights are very high. Their price is now almost not workable in the Indian market because Indian prices are low and their prices are higher again. I still believe there is a chance in the cumin to increase the prices by 10, 20, 30% because Indian coriander seed is going very well to China and other countries. There is a big demand from China going on. Even right now also they are buying whatever available in India from the Russian stock or the Indian coriander. And even Middle East, Gulf, they are also buying. So with that coriander, I think till there is some chance to price to increase. There's no further chance to price decrease from this level, current level. They are almost near to bottom or already bottomed out. Third one is turmeric. As you said in your opening remark, this is the product hot item this year. Only spice, I think, going well and the prices are increasing because turmeric crop is almost 40% less compared to last year. Last year also prices was higher and carryover from the previous years was used in last year. Then this year also carryover is still there. But overall demand and supply, everyone is looking that there is a big gap between the demand and supply. So one round of the upside is already done. Now market again on sideways, but I think whatever current level is there, price will increase in the electronic exchanges by another 30-40% easily before the end of the year. And because there is a big question on next year crop also for the turmeric. And turmeric, luckily, we don't have a big competition from any other origin. There is some crop in Burma, Vietnam and Ethiopia, but they are very negligible quantity, not big quantity. So only India is the biggest supplier. Use of the turmeric is also increased applications of the product now in many things like after COVID, the curcumin of the turmeric is now using as a pharma ingredients. There is one product I heard recently in Japan. They are making one shot like every evening when people drinking the alcohol, to remove the alcohol effect, they take a turmeric shot. So this type of use are going on in the products. So turmeric is, I think, this is a good product for this year for the spices sector to invest also and to earn some money also. Chili, I'm not doing big things in chili, but chili this year price is already less by 30-40% compared to last year. Production is around 25-30% higher compared to last year. In China, is a major buyer normally for the chili, but this year they are buying very slowly. The main thing is China is buying chili from India. They are making value addition and they are selling to other part of the world. So in that sector, I think we have to improve. We have to make the value addition, and India itself have to supply what China is doing right now. But for this product, I think this is the view of from my side.
Perfect, sir. Thank you. Really appreciate the depth of knowledge you are having, and for alcohol drinkers, if there is one turmeric shot, immunity will be improve ho jayegi, or if they become sober, that is good for the society. I would like to go to now, Dhiresh. You have heard about Ashwin bhai talking about for spices business in India, exports plays a very, very important role, because this is one commodity government doesn't mess with, right? So unlike wheat and rice and pulses, where government suddenly bans the exports and all that, in spices generally it doesn't happen. And government is also of India is also having plan of increasing or doubling the export of spices in next 3 to 4 years. In your view, what do you see that? Because when we see so much of fluctuation for a market like Middle East, do you see that the people might be looking for other origins, or do you think that the Indian brand of spices still that strong?
So good evening to all. When we look into origin, of course, India remains one of the favorite origin for the Middle East, primarily because the consumers are a lot from the subcontinent, and the second competition comes from Pakistan and China as well, because there are different kind of cuisines here. If you see the cuisines in Middle East, not only the Indian cuisines are there, but there is a Pakistani cuisine, then there is the European cuisine, then the local Arab cuisines, and also like Far East people also living here, like a million plus Philippines and Indonesian people also living here. So different kind of cuisines have different kind of spice requirement. But largely speaking, yes, the subcontinent people prefer Indian origin spices. There is a competition among the subcontinent also, that is Pakistani spices, which are competing, and they are, I think, dominating the Saudi market more than the Indian spices. Saudi is bigger market than the UAE. But in UAE, clearly the South Indian spices, which is primarily originating from Kerala, they dominate. And a lot of blend spices, which is very unique to the the blenders which are there in the South India, especially by the companies like from the Eastern and all that, Eastern, or there is Nellara and a lot of other brands in the market also. They have a very specific taste, which is very difficult for the other blenders to break. Coming to the straight spices like ginger or saffron or turmeric or thyme, or bay leaves or cardamom, za'atar, all that, sumac, you have competition from not only the India, but also Iran also supplying that, Turkey also supplying that. A lot of these straight spices are also coming from Europe and America as well. But primarily, to answer you, to summarize your question, yes, we see a lot of dominance to the Indian origin spices. And there are a lot of challenges also, so which may discuss further as well, as when you ask a question or have an opportunity to speak. But there are a lot of challenges as well happening in this geography. It's happening.
No, I would like to understand, because exports are very critical for spices industry. One challenge is definitely we are seeing that, because of various reasons, the speculation of Indian spices prices has been extensive, right? No other origin you'll find that this level of speculation, right? As Ashwin was talking about, yes, last year, cumin was at 650 rupees per kg, right? Now suddenly, any importer outside India will have a heart attack that, how can price go so off, right? And then actually, it is falling to the level it is today. So one is price speculation. Then other, reasons could also be there. Can you elaborate about, whether the volatility is the only problem, or there are other factors which are challenges for Indian exporters?
There's a lot of other factors, because China, I see, is becoming quite aggressive. I know China is not too much a spice market, but yes, you find spices like garlic, spices like onion, they're coming very nice from China. So there's too much of push, and price is also there. I'll just give you a brief perspective of how the market share of various countries have in Middle East. So when you look into the Indian subcontinent or Indian spices, they are around 32% of the market. Then there is Chinese, which is around 20% of the market. Then spices coming from Iran is around 16% of market. Pakistan is around 5.5–6% of the market. And then there are other spices also coming from Nigeria, Jordan, different kind of bird. Very straight kind of spices I'm talking about. Blend, of course, a lot of Malayali population, South Indian population here. So blend, of course, completely dominated by India. When we look into branded category, you know, those the ones you find in India like Everest or MDH, here the dominant brand remains the Pakistani brand, which is Shan, and then comes the Eastern brand and Nilara brand. So this is the basic dynamics in the market. But yes, compared to India, it's a smaller market. It looks into 140 million US dollar. Saudi remains 111, 112 million US dollars. In this market, the per capita income of the consumers are also fairly high compared to India. So as such, there is not much elasticity. The elasticity is fairly high in the sense that when the price slightly go up by 5%, you know, the fluctuation that we are seeing, it will not affect the consumption habits. But among countries, yes, there is a competition between Iran, China, India, Pakistan, the commodity which has been exported to Middle East.
Perfect. So as you rightly said, like, you know, yeah, 100%. So according to you, like, you know, while India dominate, right, you know, with 32% market share, right, and because the population is having per capita higher, like, you know, incomes, so the price is not that important factor, but definitely there are other factors which drives it. One thing is the type of cuisine people are eating, and the other is, like, you know, what type of people are consuming those spices. So I totally, like, you know, agree with you on that. That's a good learning for, I'm saying that, like, in those who are attending it, like, you know, who want to export. Now I would like to go to Basavraj, like, you know, you being, like, you know, working with the farmers, specifically the chili farmers. What's your viewpoint from the ground? Like, you know, how do you see the supply? How do you see the price moving? Like, you know, because we are seeing in Chile, the IPM chili and the other chilies, like, you know, there has been a pretty, like, you know, divergent trade which is happening. Your views on chili?
Hope I'm
आप mute
audible.
पे हैं. Yeah, now you're audible. Yes.
Yeah, बढ़िया. So when we say chili, so just now today is 11th April 2024. Last year, the same date, 11th April 2023. When we compare the prices and demand, I think we can consider more than 50% has been the decrease. And also demand, last year there was something like a heavy demand, right? So something which was very untimely, unseen kind of thing. But presently now, it's something like buyer's market. There's not much demand from buyers also, because the reason being, like, we have got whatever we wanted. We have consumed more than whatever we require. Domestic market, right? I'm talking mainly in perspective of Karnataka market. Karnataka is mainly known for its high color chili. So as you know, Badgi chili and Kashmiri chili. So that's a question. So to put up a numbers, so Karnataka had got a highest arrivals in 2021 year. Up till March 31st, it had got arrivals of 50 lakh bags. This year, it has crossed that line also. It's a record breaking. We have crossed 53 lakh bags. So highest for a season from December to May was 53 lakh bags. This year we will be crossing 60 lakh bags. So this is a huge number. And more than that, 2 years back, the cold storage capacity was something like 55 to 60 lakh bags at the max. But as we speak today, this year it's 90 lakh bags. So 1.5 times increase in the cold storage capacity also. So these are the huge numbers, and farmers have also seen it. Now farmer have also in the position where they have to sell their produce at the market at any price. So whatever we are seeing trade from maybe last 15 days, they are selling it at a loss itself against their expenses. So this is a trend we are seeing. I think, but this is good because last year it was there was a bubble created. I think this year it bursted. Chili is a commodity, but people were making it like a gold kind of a thing. It's a consumable thing, right? So, but people were making like it's something like a gold or something like that. So I think from last 2 to 3 years, there was a bubble building up. I think this year it has bursted, especially in Karnataka. And next year we'll be seeing good discipline from farmers also. In terms of not.
No, actually, how does this impact farmers? So now, how do you see this impacting farmers? Because see, end of the day, this much of volatility, as you rightly said, like, you know, they've lost money this year. So do you think that it will, like, you know, impact? It's a cycle, like, you know, 1 year they grow more, prices are less, they lose money. Next year they don't grow, then the prices go up. So farmer is always against the cycle rather than being the part of the cycle.
That's the thing, sir, Deepak ji. Abhi kya from last 3 to 4 years, there was always an increase. Not the increase, it was something like a bubble itself. There was a creation of bubble, saying like chili is the new gold. So it has bursted. Now it will be a good discipline work for this year. Yeah, this year area will decrease, but it will the traditional farmers will grow. So I think it will be a good position for all of us. Agri commodities should be it should not grow more than whatever we require, because it will not have any value. It will not have any value for farmers. It will not have any value for traders. It will not have any value for spice companies also, because this volatility will push back the spice companies also for purchase. So I think next year will be a good year for overall ecosystem of spice companies, because this year it was something like a huge area, 30 to 40% increase. We say in a funny way, like they have not left their backyard also. They have grown chili in their backyard also, home backyard. So that was the scenario which we were seeing, which is really bad.
Right.
And maybe chili might be 800 to 1 kilo consumption per human being. I think it's not a fruit. We can't increase it drastically, right? So price abhi kam ho gaya, like you consume 2 kgs. So that's not possible in chili. But I think whatever we got support from Olorsin industry, oil industries, it was phenomenal. So without these kind of support, I think we would have been in really a lot more deeper problem. Olorsin industries also picked up stocks at a very huge quantity. But I think this year, last year we had gone with a carry stock forward of something like 25 to 30 lakh bags. This year it will be more than that. So this will be a problem for under 1 or 2 years, based on experience we are thinking. It will not let
perfect. Perfect, Basura. Thanks a lot for that perspective. So now I'll go to Jatin Bhai. Jatin Bhai, you have been in the heart of where the cumin and coriander is being traded, right? And Ashwin Bhai was talking about in cumin, there have been a lot of default. And I at least I also keep a track of industry. So there have been a lot of challenges. And in a brokerage or trading business in these commodities, sometimes can take away your peaceful sleep. Your views on these two commodities, sir? Sir, you are on mute. You'll have to unmute. Yeah, now it's good.
Okay. First of all, thanks for inviting us. And as we are tracking in the domestic market, so recently in the last 2 months, as Ashwin Bhai said, we have seen so many challenges in the cumin seed, and before previous years, we have also seen challenges in coriander. As a brokerage perspective and as a one kind of we can say default and everything. So we come.
So, sir, yeah, please.
If we look at the coriander scenario in the domestic market, so in the last 5 years, what we have seen, Gujarat has remained the dominant player in the market since last 5 years in the coriander, producing more than 50 lakh bags of coriander every year. Then after we see Madhya Pradesh, and then after Rajasthan. So coriander for the farmers of Gujarat, coriander has remained the favorite commodities.
Right. And this year the shortage, do you see price firming up from here, or you see it is going to remain range bound?
Actually, if we look at the current price scenario, then the price of coriander is a little bit fair price. We are trading around fair price. We can expect some little bit downside around 2 to 5% from the current side. Then after we can see expect some 15 to 20% rise in the market ending of the year.
Right. So यहाँ से नुकसान होने के chances 2 से 5% है, फायदा होने के chances 15 से 20% है.
Exactly, sir.
Right. And how about cumin? उसके अंदर आप क्या देखते हैं जीरे के अंदर?
Actually, I don't track cumin seeds, so I would not be able to.
Fair enough. So what other commodity you deal in? other than coriander?
Actually, we are Gujarat based and Gondal based, so mainly we are tracking coriander.
Perfect. So going forward, like, how do you see, like, the exports picking up, or will we still be, like, only import dependent, and because the lack of other markets? क्योंकि आप बोल रहे हैं हम
No,
domestic नहीं
actually,
deal करते हैं.
if we look at the No, actually, the export demand also affect the domestic demand. Actually, right now, coriander prices are trading around 75 rupees per kg. If we see downside around 2 or 3 rupees, then we can see some export demand.
Right. And in your view, ये जो, like, NCDX और इस तरह के जो ऑप्शन के प्लेटफॉर्म है, फ्यूचर्स के प्लेटफॉर्म है, do you think they are helping in better price discovery, or do you think they increase the volatility and speculation? सट्टा बढ़ जाता है इनसे,
No,
या
actually,
like,
if you look at the look at the past performance, they have not इतना कुछ खराब नहीं किया है मार्केट में, but they have supported the price discovery and hedging factor.
Perfect.
Sometime we may see some speculative activities, but it's a part of business and part of market.
सर क्यूमिन में तो इतना स्पेकुलेशन हो गया, सबको हिला दिया आपने. So I'll go to Himanshu next. So Himanshu, like, I wanted to come to you last after, like, you listening to everyone. Now I would like you to, like, tell me about supply and demand situation of turmeric and coriander.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Cool. So first of all, a very congratulations. Means since afternoon we have been listening a lot of insightful sessions around pulses and grains, and again with the spices. So for the spices, from fields to global glory, India really strives the dominance, being the market leader. As Dinesh ji also talked about, like according to ISO, out of 109 spices grown in India, so grown worldwide, 75 comes from India. Talking about the key basket of turmeric, coriander, cumin, and chili, 73% of turmeric is grown in India. Around 80% of coriander, 70% of cumin, and 45% of chili production come from India as well. Yes, we are really facing severe competition across the globe, be it China, be it other countries. But with upcoming startup ecosystem and the policies that our central government is making, I would really say that they are ready to support the post-harvest management and reduce the post-harvest management losses as well. And yes, I'm very optimistic that the kingship of India will always be like that intact. It will not be wrong to say that pulses gives you glory and a lot of glory, but really spices from last 2 years have given very fruitful margins. And it's also a direct contributor to the farm income, understanding most of them are exported from India. So yes, coming to the questions about turmeric, coriander and all. So yes, most of our fellow participants have already talked about that, but I would really like to, focus specifically on turmeric and coriander. Turmeric as in comes from majorly of the two varieties. One is the Madras finger turmeric. The second one is the LFP finger turmeric. Ranges curcumin. Basically, they are demarked on the basis of curcumin content. You can say Rajapuri, Salem, Erode, Desi Kadappa, and all are the traditional Madras finger turmeric. Their Aston curcumin ranges from 1.5% to 4.5%. The major production in India turmeric comes from Maharashtra around 27%, then AP around 7%, Telangana around 14%, Tamil Nadu around 12%. Marathwada belt, as in Maharashtra, contributes very strongly, and these days also we can see that there are a lot of arrivals at those locations. Production wise, I'll just break the overall production of the turmeric in these four groups only. Marathwada, or you can say Maharashtra complete belt, contributes this time. The production is estimated to be around 2.29 lakh metric ton, which were earlier 3.22 lakh metric ton. Karnataka, which gives an Astra curcumin of around 3 to 3.5%. The production ranges from 88,000 tons this year, which was earlier 1.3 lakh metric ton. The major blocks of Karnataka like Belgavi, Bagalkot, Guddalpet, XYZ. Then comes Telangana and Tamil Tamil Nadu, then come Tamil Nadu, the production ranges from 1 lakh metric ton to 1.02 this year, which was earlier 1.3. Telangana this year production is around 90,000 to 1.06 lakh metric ton, which was earlier 1.6. So more or less, turmeric as an overall has really seen a slight downfall in production this year. The numbers are worrisome as compared to last year. The S&D stands this way, like the opening stock of turmeric, which most of the market participants, are counting upon, is around 0.8 lakh metric ton. This is the production now is the 20% less, which sums to around 4.45 lakh metric ton. So combinedly, opening stock means the carryover of 0.8 plus production of 4.45 gives the net availability around 5.25 lakh metric ton. The estimated demand, obviously, we have to estimate it on the previous year's numbers. The benchmarking has to be done that way. So estimated demand roughly sums around, you can say 1.5 for from the exports and around 5.3 from the domestic, roughly giving to a 6.8 lakh metric ton of overall estimated demand, taking on an average of last 4-5 years. This sum to an estimated shortage of around 1.57 lakh metric ton. And this is exactly what people have estimated a month back when the prices of this turmeric went up as high as 192, and which is around 165 right now. And it's only because of the arrivals that are there. But people have really estimated this shortfall very long, and traders have stocked the commodity across multiple locations in India. And we personally also, as a group, thinks that the commodity has a very strong bullish sentiments from here. This is all about the turmeric. Jumping on the coriander. Coriander also have the same ecosystem, but on the safer side. Like turmeric, there's an estimated shortage, whereas coriander has a neck-to-neck situation. So coriander comes, so slightly briefing about the commodity, coriander comes around 6 to 7 varieties, starting from badami, then eagle, then scooter, then parrot, double parrot, and then double green. So there are a lot of varieties across locations grown in Gujarat and Rajasthan. And obviously there is a shortage of around 30% in the production this year. Understanding a very famous theory, which is cobweb theory, where you can say the farmers will always sow whatever they perceive will give them a better price, understanding the previous year prices. So that's the point here. So coriander has reduced in the production. Understanding Jeera gives a larger amount or larger money last year. So there is now as per S&D, the coriander is produced around 3.65 lakh metric ton with an opening stock or the carryover of around 1.5. Imports stood around 0.25, summing to the net availability of around 5.40 lakh metric ton. The estimated demand, again, as checked with the previous years, is around 4.75 to 4.8 lakh metric ton, contributing a very small part of exports and majority of the domestic. Around 85% is from domestic. Giving you an ending stock around 0.65 lakh metric ton. This commodity has an ending stock, whereas turmeric has an estimated shortage. But this ending stock is very furious because in turmeric, unlikely people know that there is a shortage. Wherever there is an ending stock or that is neck to neck, there is always a huge chance of rigging in the price either ways. So as of now, by numbers, we would say if you are taking exchange as a medium to hedge, what I think Jatinji was also talking about. So coriander is giving right now very good spreads. Yesterday it closed at 100 rupee, 8 rupees per month rollover spread over a price of 74 rupees. This is a very good number, 10% income, direct income without doing anything. So you don't need to implement your OPEX. You don't need to implement any new manpower. You just take help of Jatinji, people like Jatinji across the market who can give you demat material, and you just take those 10 to 12% advantage monthly on a rollover. So arbitrage returns is very good in coriander. So yes, one, coriander should be taken under for the badla or the cash and carry arbitrage. The lower side of turmeric, but we all of us, I would say, would be on the pace that would be around 155 or 150 at max. अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि अराइवल्स पीक में है, थोड़ा बहुत कर सकता है, इससे ज्यादा लगता नहीं किसी को भी फॉर कोरिया। एंड ऑन द हायर साइड 200 190 200 तक का टच करने का लोग बोल रहे हैं।
Let's not go into like number specific, like how much it
Okay,
is.
ठीक है। And prices of the
You're
coriander,
seeing
okay.
bullish trend in both coriander and turmeric.
Yeah.
More bullish in turmeric rather than coriander. Am I right in understanding that?
Yeah, exactly.
It is all based on supply and demand. I'll go back to you, Ashwin bhai. Like you have been championing the cause of this industry, right? I also believe like we need to export more. Any recommendation from your side, sir? Like which either the trader or the policymakers should take care of so that we can increase our overall export of spices, specifically the spices you deal in. Sir, आप म्यूट पे हैं, आपको अनम्यूट करना होगा.
Actually, as we discussed about the NCDX, NCDX is a very good tool for the hedging and the trading is right. But when price is going up and down on a huge way on daily basis, that will make export very bad effect. Because overseas buyer can't understand in the morning 6% up and in the evening 6% higher, because our blood pressure or our sugar or our the car speed, that also like goes up and down like this, it will always killing. So government have to look on that part. I am not telling NCDX is a bad tool or they have to close that, but the percentage of the upper circuit and the lower circuit, they have to reduce, because last year what happened in the cumin, in some weeks is 24%, 30% higher, and at the end in 1 week 36% down. So that is the killing factor. So I think they have to look it onto that, and only 10-12% per week is more than enough. I don't think they have to go to 36% ratio for this type of product, because after all, we are exporting this product, and overseas buyer can't understand this type of volatility in any product. So that will affect our export. Then other thing is when we are exporting, the risk coverage, like we have the only ECGC that covering the risk, but they are also operating in very old fashions. They have to change the many things now. There are so many exporters from the 3 tiers and 2 tier cities. I have office in Dubai. Every week I am getting 4 to 5 phone calls. They are under trap or under the fraud from the overseas buyer. So these type of the things we have to improve to save our trade. Other thing is, as I told you, the chilies, the China is doing the value addition and then they are exporting. So for the Indian exporters, if we are making here any value addition, so that kind of plants and the machineries and the manufacturing plants, if exporters are installing, then government have to subsidize that. They have to arrange easy finance. I think that will help our export to increase in a large volume and also value-wise, and that product other countries are getting, they have to come to India only. That things are, I think, required to improve our export. Other latest things recently they added like MSME payment. That I think badly hurt to the exporters, because in export cycle, at other side you are allowing 6 months payments. RBI is allowing, and here you have to pay to your supplier within 45 days. That I don't think correlates. So this type of many things government can improve and help us to increase our export of the particularly mainly in the spices sector. That is from my side.
Perfect, sir. So Dinesh, your views, like in case we have to increase our exports to like the Middle East, what are the couple of things, 2 or 3 straight points which we should be doing?
I think something is very basic also, which everybody knows, but it's essential that we put it in here. One is quality of our product. Now that's everybody knows. I mean, it's very generic. Secondly, also, so awareness of the quality of our product, the Indian product. For example, China spends so much on the quality of the product that the demand for the Chinese product is slightly higher. Now, what do I mean by this? I'm just putting an example. This doesn't mean this is the only way, but one example is Chinese, the garlic and the Chinese onion was selling extremely high here. but there was some American influencers who started communicating with the consumers about the Chinese garlic, etc. I'm sure you might have seen it in India also. Chinese garlic being washed by chemicals and things like that. Now suddenly the demand of that fell down by 5 to 7%, and other Indian garlic and I'm talking about fresh spices also. So Indian garlic and Indian coriander started increasing, sales are increasing. So one thing is education of the consumers, which is pulling the demand, and the retailers, especially like Lulu's and Carrefour, if you're aware of these part of them, I'm sure you're aware of this. They start as a B2B buyer also start pulling in the products, and then if the awareness starts growing, then the food service restaurants, they start demanding the product higher. So one as a export, together we come and we start creating these kind of videos which the Americans are doing for California almonds, or there's a lot of other commodities they are doing it. Let's protect our core strength, which is spices, because of which entire world has attacked in the past India. So spice route and all that was. So I'm saying when we are outside, we look at this more, because when we are internally, we are more fighting with the internal challenges. So external challenges, one, how do we increase our sales by showing our products a better quality compared to competition, how they're good, and we have to invest in better quality spices also. Now, secondly, also innovations. Are we doing any innovation? Are we staying with the standard products the way it is? Should we look into more different kind of cuisine? So I'm not only just talking to the traders as of now, but also people who are into value-added products as well. Spice industry is very dynamic. One is the straight, one is blend, and one is whole spice. So blend is something which is 2x, 3x of the net profits which is generating. So blend also is very interesting to consumers, and blend is complete dominance of the South Indian spices among the Indian subcontinent people here. Why don't we look into blends which is Pakistani brands are doing, like Shan is doing, like Mehran is doing? Why don't we look into blends which comes from Turkey, or blends which comes from Arabic cuisine, which make it very easy? So there are a lot of local blenders here who are buying Indian spices or Turkish spices and blending it in a packet and selling it as blends for the local market. So two is that. Then largely, I think we should always focus on 2-3 of the spices more. One remains, of course, the coriander, chili. Turmeric is something which is like picking up, like I think one of the panel members also talked about Japanese shot after the alcohol. But of course, we know it in India also. We are having the shot, and probably it is all across Arab world as well. That milk shot, the golden milk, is something which has become very popular in the evening. So whether it's the Arabs, whether it's the the Europeans living here, they're all getting into the turmeric much more than before, and the sale of that has picked up really better than before. Then cinnamon is another wonderful spice which is people are looking at here. Then comes the cumin, of course. There's a discussion on cumin and chilies. These are the important spices here. So we should look into that. So one is, of course, awareness of the quality. Secondly is innovation, and then focus on the must-win spices which we can play with as a country. Give a competitive advantage because of the high production against countries like Pakistan, China, or even smaller Bangladesh also. Smaller volume comes from Bangladesh also. So primarily, the pie remains 100 only. So we have to take the market share from that. That's what my submission is. I hope it's useful.
No, very useful. Definitely, we should look at innovation, blending, and we should also ensure that our quality and the perception about our product is taken care of. With this, we would and this extremely interesting panel discussion on spices. Before we leave, just a couple of announcements. So tomorrow we will be having launch of Indian Grain and Pulses Council in New Delhi. So those who are in New Delhi, you can always drop a message to us, and we would see if we can accommodate you. The idea of this council is to ensure that those in grains and pulses business can have better access to government, better international bilateral trades. At the same time, also ensure that the trade dispute can be taken care of, because we also will be running an arbitration center there. So with that, this is the first announcement. Second announcement, if we have Suvir, Mr. Suvir Rajpurohit, if you can start your video, because we'll be having a beautiful event coming out in Tanzania, where we'll be having spices, and Dhiresh and Himanshu can also look at it, and Ashwin Bhai definitely, he always visit. So because it's Africa is the future, right? Definitely Indian spices are doing great, but Zanzibar is also a great location to buy spices from. So Subirji, if you are here, can I see your handsome face?
Hello, hi everyone. Deepak bhai, is I'm audible?
Yes, you are totally audible.
Just before you start, I have just before you start, I just say, the Middle East also imports a lot of Nigerian spices.
Okay.
A lot of imports. So let's look into a very relevant video now.
Yeah. So we will invite the spices place from Nigeria as well, and hope you can also join us and do trade with them there. Yes, so we're all to you. Yeah.
But spices we are talking about, then all Asia is importing from Nigeria and Africa.
Sure.
That's true.
Yeah. So
hi
Subir,
everyone.
we can talk about our event. Yeah.
Yes. Hi everyone, this is Subir. We have event called Afro World Agri Food. There is in Tanzania. This is second edition, and it will be on 29th, 30th, and 31st of July this year. Where Agriculture Ministry of Tanzania is also associating partner of it. From India, APEDA, NABARD, NAFED, all are associate of us. Around 20 association of Africa and Asia are also associating the show. Last year, we have around 700 delegates, around 120 partners of the show, and thousands of visitors which have joined to the exhibition. So there is 3 days conference, exhibition, and awards will be held in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, at the Diamond Jubilee Hall. This is show is about all agri and food industry, where grain, pulses, rice, spices, dry fruit, edible oil, food, beverages, cotton, sugar, everything will be included. And there is 3 days conference, around 17 session will be there. And Deepak Bhai is also in charge of that. So all the community knows about. And Africa is great source for exporting and importing both the part of agri-food industry, where lot of crops is being importing, and we are also importing from Africa. So vice versa, there is spices, pulses, this cashew are exporting from there, and this wheat, sugar, edible oil, these things are importing to Africa. So vice versa, this is a big market, and majorly these kind of shows are not happening there. So we have initiated last year, and this is mega show this year. We are looking for around 1,200 delegates to the show, 200 partners of the show, 10,000 visitors will be coming to it. So big agri-food extravaganza will be happening. So we are looking for your participation, and please join us and celebrate this biggest agri fair in Tanzania. Thank you.
Will you be, just one question, please. Will you be able to send this proposal in email or something like?
Dhiresh, I'll do that. I'll do that straight away.
Yeah, I'd like to understand more.
I'm just a service provider. In charge is Deepak Parikh ji is in charge. He will share everything with you.
So kind of Subirji, actually, I take care of the conference part of it, getting good speaker, good traction. So definitely we'll send it across a proposal to you. And with that, on a good note, it was an awesome, we had 16 great speakers, including myself. I would say a mediocre speaker, and 15 great speakers right today joining this conference. And thanks all of you for your time. And I hope everybody had a very good, insightful session. Thank you.
Thanks, Deepak Bhai, and wish you great success tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Look forward.
Thank you very much.